Instagram at One Mic Show. We're also taking live calls tonight at 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak, so save that number. Now later tonight, we'll reveal shocking details on why Kenyan athletes opt to compete for foreign countries. We'll discuss what needs to be done for thousands of world-class Kenyan athletes who miss out on qualifying for international competition. Remember that we have a big announcement on an upcoming guest, and I want you to feel free to start dropping comments below and let us know who you think that guest is. I see some people have already started commenting there. We're going to be reading those comments shortly. Na bila kusahau, tutapokea mziki toka DJ wetu machachari mleta habari DJ Omosh Fire, na tutadunda kule viwanjani na Mika Och jezi nambari 7 mgongoni akituletea habari za michezo. Na moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios, mimi mtangazaji na mwana habari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Karibuni.
Talk politics.
All right, now this hour we'll be talking about Kenya's dismal performance in the ongoing Paris Olympic Games. On the show to discuss this is avid Kenyan Athletics sports fanatic Lui Achungo. He'll be telling us why Kenya team struggled in events we previously ruled. Lui will also reveal what happened to Kenya's 100-meter sensation Ferdinand Omanyala and why he never made it to the final. Also stay tuned for a big announcement on an upcoming guest, and please drop a comment to tell us who you think this guest is and where you're tuned in from, whether you're tuned in from San Antonio, whether you're tuned in from Houston, Dallas, whether from Silver Spring, Maryland, or Baltimore, whichever part of the country, please drop down, whichever part of the world, please drop down in the comments and let us know where you're tuned in, and also let us know who you think this guest might be that will be coming on later this month. Now, I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi, and it's Friday the 9th of August, and we are streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. Please remember to follow us on our social media handles. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and now on TikTok. On panel with me is Mr. Wanmai Kamakawa. Our sports anchor Mika Och is joining us via Zoom. Our resident DJ Moshfa is already on the decks and to roga hapa na pale. And also not forgetting that our super producer is none other than Mubelwa Bandio. Now, a couple of guests have already tuned in. Asanteni sana for the early birds who always tend to catch the worm. I can see we have Washeke in the building. Washeke says that important guest is Slay Odwor. She will talk more about her upcoming modeling debut. Now I'm actually getting an idea. I'm actually getting an idea on an episode, but we're going to talk about that later.
You may attend.
Slay anasema, Washeke Ndirang, wow, thank you for the plug. Okay, I don't know whether that's how you sound, Slay, but I think it's very, very close. It's very, very close to that.
It will be Slay again.
Amesema, Washeke Ndirang, wow, thank you for the plug. Okay, yeah, and I think that's your real voice. I'm very good at imitating voices, so I think I did very well there. So feel free kunipigia makofi. And then Washeke anamwambia Slay, I am your hype man. I think you meant hype woman. Hype woman, but anyway, unajua in this day and age of pronouns na nini,
there is no difference.
You have to make sure that
there is no
saying
difference.
The correct
Him,
things.
his, has, hakuna difference hapo.
Yeah, Slay anasema that's all I need. Very good. And then Stephen JJ anasema Kamala Harris. I know Kamala Harris was in some was having a rally, I think somewhere in Arizona or somewhere. Maybe Stephen JJ, tell us what happened there. We're busy preparing the show, so we've not even been following what's been happening there. But she's been getting big crowds in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan. You know, she's been getting crowds as many as 15,000 people. So a big deal. And Donald Trump has been having fits over those big crowds that Kamala has been getting. But we're going to be talking politics later on, you know, like as the elections approach. We're going to be talking politics today. It's about sports. And then Slay anasema hapa kukupigia makofi ama nitume watu wa kusalimie. I don't know exactly what Slay is trying to say there, because wajua kusalimiana nowadays, the Kenyans are very good at remixing language and changing meaning of things. Nowadays ukisema kusalimiwa, it's not the kawaida kusalimiwa we know, but
it's not.
Yes, but anyway, you know, a lot has happened since the protests began, and yeah, but I think, you know, like we have quite a bit to cover today, and now with the Paris Olympic Games wrapping up this weekend, Kenya has so far collected 2 Olympic gold medals from Beatrice Chebet in the women's 5 and 10,000 meter finals. Congratulations to Beatrice Chebet. Now, despite having about 5 races left where Kenyans could still potentially add to its medal tally, we are facing a reality of what could be our worst showing in 40 years as the games wrap up. Now, joining us tonight to make sense of this is an avid fan of Kenyan athletics and a passionate recreational runner, Lui Achungo. Now, Lui is an avid Kenyan athletics fanatic and a passionate recreational runner. Outside sports, Lui is an IT expert by day. He called in on the show about 5 months ago and made some very interesting predictions that turned out to be true, which we're going to be talking about later on in the show.
He's also a farmer at night.
Yes, and maybe, and he's going to be talking about that. But for now, karibu sana Chief Lui, karibu sana to the One Mic Show. How are you doing today, Lui? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. Thank you for welcoming me over to your show.
Okay, all right. Karibu sana. Alafu utaangalia kamera ndo audience waweze kukuona. Karibu sana. Now, where are you currently located? Because it's very unpredictable to know where you are. Where are you currently situated and how are you doing?
Well, I'm currently in Atlanta, Georgia. That is where I reside and I have been for a better part of my adult life.
Okay.
Despite moving here and there.
Okay.
And I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, thank you. Enjoying the summer weather. At least for now, Atlanta's pretty better than you guys up there now.
Okay. All right, good. Now, as we get warmed up, just getting started, you were on the show 5 months ago, and we had a conversation about a Kenyan lady who now runs for Bahrain and just won a gold medal.
Yavi.
Just Yavi, just give us a quick recap of who she is and a brief recap of what you told us 5 months ago. She's now an actual Olympic gold medalist. Chief Lui.
Yeah, well, I kind of remember vividly about that conversation. Yavi, I think Yavi Tule, if I'm not wrong, that could be her native name. She hails from Machakos. She's a young girl. I think now she's 24, if I'm not wrong. I knew that girl from when she was 16 years old. And she was running in cross-country competitions for her school in Machakos for quite a while. Then she got discovered by her coach, who introduced her to Moi Kasarani Training Center in Nairobi. So she had to move and stay with her auntie or a relative, if I'm not wrong, somewhere close to Nairobi, and train hard during her high school days. And she really showed some kind of good prowess during her younger days. And with a pursuit to get into the under 20 competitions, of which right now you can see Faith Chalotich is doing very well in the under 20. Actually, she just turned 20 last year, if I'm not wrong. She was unable to make it to the team, and so she turned 21, and it was very difficult for her to come up and beat positions with Beatrice Chepkoech, who is the last world championship leader, if I'm not wrong now, gold medalist. And she also has the world record right now, Beatrice Chepkoech. So it was really difficult for her to actually make it into the team for some reason. So our coach called her on the side and told her, I think you have the talent, you have the capacity and the capability, but Kenya is going to be a very tough client for you. What you need to do is leave the country. And she didn't hesitate. So the coach was able to get an opportunity in Bahrain. They gave her a call. She walked into Bahrain, stayed for about 1 year, getting to know how the semantics are going to be in order for her to change her citizenship. And right now she has it all.
Okay, all right. So very interesting. And we're going to get to that part where we'll be talking about, why Kenyan athletes are leaving to seek greener pastures in other countries. But in the meantime, I want to come back to the studio, and welcome the panel in the studio. And down on Zoom, I'm going to start with DJ Moshfire, and then we're going to go to Mika Och, who's on Zoom. So Mika, please get ready. But DJ Moshfire, how has your week been, and how's your overall feeling about the Olympic Games that are wrapping up, I think, this weekend? DJ Moshfire.
Asante. Thanks to all our listeners, Chief Lui Asante, for gracing us with your presence and your athletic prowess. Sasa, my week, it's been okay. You know, we made it in here into the studio. You know, Friday saa zingine waga changamoto. Yani, anyway, for, you know, that's, maybe you can translate for one mic. He doesn't know what changamoto is. So, yani, kusamo kweli, Sure. It's been one of those. But Olympics has kept us busy. From, I think I would say, if you're an avid follower, it's like I lose 4:30 in the morning.
It's very early in the morning.
4:30, but
It's even
they're
before
breaks.
4:30, yeah.
They are breaks, right? So if you're doing like track and field, I think normally from about 4.
Okay.
From about 4 in the morning
Yeah.
till like 7-ish Eastern time.
Yeah.
And then you take a break, then you come back in around, depending on what it is that you like. If
Yeah.
it's soccer, then you come in around at least 11 o'clock in the morning.
Soccer ni
Football. Ish, yeah. So then, you know, then you take a break kidogo, and from about 1:30 or so, it's track and field.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
on with track and field till like 4 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's a whole day.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, those late night games, those rather early morning games,
I rewind because a lot of them
I've been watching. I've not been watching them live.
They've
You know,
been,
it's been too much.
qualifiers.
Yeah, because, you know, we've been struggling between Olympics, Mandamano, so many other things happening in Kenya.
You
and
start
then
from you start
and
from
then-
11 p.m.
and
as
then-
you work your way.
Yes, and then U.S. elections. So actually, you start from 6 p.m.
Correct.
You know,
correct.
like
Yeah,
when you're
with
following
domestics,
now.
yes.
Yeah, with domestics. Anyway, we're gonna go to Mika. Mika, real quick, tell us, you know, like, how's your week been? Your overall feelings on the Olympics as they're coming to a close this weekend. Mika, twende kazi, and then we're gonna come back to Louis.
Thank you very much. My week, basically, how can I say this? This week I started like, it was raining, it was gloomy the whole week. So it was kind of one of those, you know, those slow weeks. You just, yeah, Tuesday is here, Wednesday, then boom, Friday is here. It's hit you there. Nothing major to go for. We had Nane Nane, which happened as it happened. On the Olympics front, I will say there have been surprises, but pretty much looking at some of the results, and then you look at if you followed the worlds. I'm talking for athletics. If you followed the worlds, and then if you followed the words, and if you were following the previous the Oregon competition, the competition that happened in Oregon, you were bound to see that this was an Olympic that was going to throw a lot of curveballs for a lot of people. And as you can see in most of the sports across the base, we have a lot of first-time medalists. We have surprises. We're not having a lot of repeat winners, but in others we are having some repeat ones. And I can just say, in terms of a neutral, somebody who doesn't support any particular athlete, they're having fun. It's a very nice Olympic to see because you don't know who's going to win. In terms of those who are used to certain names, it's very disappointing, but then again, it's not surprising. And we can also see now where the investment of sports comes in. Because you can see countries that usually were not winning some medals are winning those medals based on how they've been investing in them. So it's we can talk more about that during the show. And another highlight of this week, my boy Charisma released one album in the Monomosha Mchezapo Ngoma Moja. I want to say anybody, if you love good Kenyan music, those who say music Kenyans don't have music, there's you can go to any streaming platform, search for Charisma and search for the album Motions, and I promise you'll be entertained.
Okay, asante sana Mika. And briefly, you know, like, let's come back to studio, Uno Mike. You know, like, just your overall feelings on the Olympics, you know, like what surprised you, you know, what disappointed you, what's your general feeling now that it's coming to a close?
let me say this. What was fascinating for me was, okay, one, I looked at the Poland team, the men's volleyball team. The best player is a black guy called Leon.
Oh, damn. I haven't even watched any besides Kenyan volleyball.
Alafu,
Yeah.
US and Italy, those are the powerhouses. They were playing for gold. They were playing for the bronze.
Oh, interesting.
Correct. Yes.
Yes.
Today.
Okay.
Poland and I can't remember who else are going to be playing for the gold.
For the goal. That's
Yes.
men's volleyball.
Men's volleyball.
Okay.
Higher. When you look at track and field, you look at some of the long jumpers. Italy, Blake. Germany, Blake. Somebody was saying Hitler is tossing in his grave as we speak. That is what I have found fascinating.
Yes.
There's a lot of black folks.
Yes.
And of African origin.
Yes.
So
there's
there are many.
the
my
lady
God.
who won the shot put, for the women who won, the lady who won shot put for the women.
German?
Ogunle,
German.
Yeah.
Germany.
It's German.
Pointy.
Okay.
So that is what has captured me. Also, like I was noticing, like some of the final races, like we're looking at the 100, the 200, on a lineup because I'm a dame.
Yeah.
Blake.
Okay.
So I mean, I think that was that for me was like, okay,
So the European countries are becoming Blake.
Blake.
But that shouldn't surprise you, because
No,
if
no.
you've been you're a very ardent fan of football,
Yes.
and if you're a fan of football, you quite understand right now that they have a lot of second, third generations athletes who are mixed race. So
Right. But
seeing black Europeans it's something that people need to start getting used to.
that's what I'm saying. No,
Yeah.
black Europeans, yes, but black Europeans competing at
We-
that high level.
We were used to seeing them in soccer.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But previously, even when you go back to recent Olympics, it was not very common.
it was
It was
very
not very
uncommon.
common seeing a black Italian running for Italy. Like it wasn't common. In soccer, yes.
Oh, absolutely,
We've gotten
yes,
used to
Balotelli.
that. Yeah, but,
The previous 100-meter champion is Italian. Is
Yes,
black.
Jacobs.
yes, that's right.
Yes.
But I'm saying, like this has now started becoming it started becoming a common thing in other sports. Seeing, because I think that first generation of immigrants, like gravitated, of course, towards soccer because already playing soccer. But now they're diversifying to other sports where it's not an uncommon sight anymore.
Yes.
To see, like a black German, like doing shot put, or a black Italian doing the long jump,
Male
the
and
triple jump.
female.
Yeah.
And winning.
Yeah. So,
So-
that says something.
Yeah.
That says something in the changing faces of Europe.
Right.
And as you know, like xenophobia also in those countries.
Like a
and
nonsense.
being anti-immigrant has been increasing.
You mean in London?
Yeah, that has been increasing, and I think maybe we need to get someone from London to tell us what exactly is happening. This has been happening in other countries. This is common in countries like France. Italy has had its share of xenophobia.
Spain.
So all these major, like European countries have had some kind of xenophobia. But anyway, let me come back to studio. Want to go back to Lui just to get his overall thoughts on the games before we go back to Team Kenya. Like what were your highlights for this Olympics, Lui? What were your disappointments? What surprised you the most? Real quick, Lui. Twende kazi.
I think generally, if you look at it, the dominant countries when it comes about the Olympics has always been the United States and Great Britain, and at some point, and to some extent, I think there used to be China and Russia because of their populace. But the dynamics have really changed right now, although the United States is still, staying on top in the collection of their medals. But what we are seeing is we are having Scandinavian countries and a little bit of some South American and the Caribbean countries that are showing up with excellence in some disciplines, of which have surprised many. When I look at it, personally, I feel like it's about time that we have to appreciate the fact that the world has become a global village, so everybody cannot be able to keep a secret for too long. And we tend to know what other people are doing, and we can gather the information, put it together, and enact on it and train just like the other persons that could be across the oceans and across the continent. So I'm not really surprised that the United States has lost in some of the and then races of which they tactically should have won. Okay. And again, also for us here, the East African community too, we have really not performed very well. That's a topic for later. Very much surprised also by the fact that we are having some European nations actually setting up world records at the Olympics. That is just as much as unnatural. It's not normal.
Okay, all right. So very interesting that we are seeing, like distances that East Africans ruled before. We are seeing Europeans, we are seeing Americans, like starting to encroach on them, even winning golds. So that's something that we're going to be talking about. A couple of comments here coming while we're having this conversation. I see Washeke was saying, wasn't there a Kenyan female runner competing under the Kazakhstan banner?
Yes,
yes,
there was.
And what discipline was this? Was it track and field?
It
or
was track and field.
field.
It was track
Okay.
and field. I can't remember maybe Washeke can remember.
Okay,
There was one.
Washeke, give us some details on that, because I mean Kazakhstan, like the only thing that most people know about Kazakhstan, and maybe that's because of this American ignorance that sometimes we've been showered in, is Borat. Most Americans, you mention Kazakhstan, all they think about is Borat. But it's a very beautiful country. But I didn't know that Kenyans have already discovered Kazakhstan, and then which shows you how much countries are valuing gold medals, which we're taking for granted in Kenya,
Or even meddling.
or even just
meddling.
Yeah, we've been taking them for granted because we've had them for so long.
But aren't the Ugandans doing the same thing these other guys are doing?
Well,
we have a lot of Kenyans who are running for Uganda.
That's something we're going to talk about. Those are not Kenyans.
Okay.
Let's be clear.
Those
are not Kenyans. Those are not Kenyans. Remember, like in these border cities.
You mean where Chief Lui comes from?
Border cities, not only where Chief Lui comes from, so many parts of the borders with Uganda. Remember, we once had a vice president in Kenya whose brother was a member of parliament in Uganda. Blood brother.
Correct.
Mudiawori. So his brother, I think, is called Agriawori. Was actually a member of parliament in Uganda. So very interesting. So I know because of those Kalenjin names of those Ugandan runners, people are assuming that they're Kenyans, but they're actually
Ugandans.
They're actually Ugandan.
Yeah.
And then Washeke. Father says Jamaican supporters have been disappointed. Washeke, give us details on why Jamaican supporters have been disappointed. And then Washeke Father says many European countries have medaled for the first time due to black athletes. So this is another quite dicey conversation that we're going to have. Now, Louis, before we get to the Kenyan struggles, what are the remaining prospects for gold? Because I think we still have a couple of events that we haven't participated in, or rather the finals have not happened yet. So what other events are we expecting to medal in, Louis?
So far we have 800 meters coming up finals, and
Men?
the only hope that we have is Wanyoni
Okay.
Emmanuel, the young man from Tongaren. Apparently he comes from the same area as Omanyala.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
And Yule, and also the same area as Yule, was it called Yeswa Tongaren?
Yes, Tongaren.
Okay. Same area. Okay, just checking, just confirming it was the same place.
Surely.
Yeah.
We also have an opportunity, and I think this is going to be a definite one, because there might seem to be a little bit of a kind of a grudge match tomorrow between Sige and our girl Faith. Keep it going tomorrow, 1500.
It is not a grudge match. That's a hater.
That's
Wow.
I call it that, okay? We also have a 5,000, but I doubt whether we will medal on that one, because we have a weak team for the 5,000 meters finals men's competition. We really struggled to actually be able to make it over to the second round. So let's wait and see how that will pan out. But I'm not really counting out on medaling on that one. And obviously, we have the marathon for the ladies, and as well as the marathon for the men. So we are counting on Eliud, hoping that we will not get another surprise again, because Kenenisa Bekele has a statement to make. it's interesting that these two gentlemen began their debut together in the marathon world at the same time when they left the road races back in the Rio de Janeiro Olympics. And now they're going to be towering away and walking out of the dancing stage at the same time in the Paris Olympics. We just saw Kenenisa Bekele blow out the Masters record the other day in the last marathon, which was the city marathon that he ran. The hours and the time that he actually pulled was I think it was 2:04, which is quite a generous run for someone who is about 40 years, which is up to the Masters level. And we have Benson Kipruto, and we have Munyao, who is, well, we are hoping for the best. He has really surprised us a couple of times at the Boston Marathon. On the ladies' side, we are depending on Helen Obiri. Hopefully, she will be able to give us something. The reason why is because if not for Asefa from Ethiopia, who is the current world champion in the ladies only marathon. And we also have Sifan Hassan, but Sifan Hassan is already beat because she's already run 3 races, and she even has one more tomorrow, of which you don't know how she'll actually be able to perform in the marathon, and she's not even sure about it. But hey,
She even lost today.
Yeah.
She lost today.
Well, she didn't lose. She medaled, which is better.
She did? I thought she was number 4.
She medaled.
Okay.
Yeah, she
Oh
got
yeah, she medaled it. You know, the thing is this: she has this running style that it's kind of she has that old school running style whereby she doesn't use a lot of energy in the first stint of the race. She just keeps within the leading pack, not with them, but within them, and then she finishes strong. So I think that allows her to preserve her energy pretty well. But as Lui has said, she's old. We don't know how much of legs she's still carrying. But I wouldn't discount her completely. But yeah, these young athletes on these Olympics, well, hey, one other rat race, 100 to 100. They're not even like from the first lap to the last lap is the same pace.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yes. So I think to answer your question, Ali, we have a chance of at least getting 3 goals. Right now, I think we have 3 at the moment.
We have 2.
We have 2.
Yeah.
We have 3 medals, right?
No, we
Two,
have 3.
two gold. 2 gold.
2 gold and 1 bronze.
And 1 bronze, yeah.
And 1 silver.
Okay.
We have a total of 6 medals.
Yeah.
And so we're looking forward to at least maybe 3 more, hopefully, if you can cross our fingers.
Okay. All right. So we're looking forward to 3 more. So I mean, at least if we get those 3, we get 3 gold. It's not going to be that bad of a performance. But then with the depth of talent that we have, there was more that was being expected. And even on the best Olympics that we performed, I think our best Olympics might have been Tokyo 2008, where I think we might have gotten 5 or 6 gold medals. I think we're at a point where we should now start getting more gold medals, and we're going to keep talking about that. Washeke says Nora Geruto is the runner for Kazakhstan and finished 9th in the 3,000 meters steeplechase that Chiavi won. And of course, you're already talking about Chiavi. We are still going to talk about her. One of those talents that was not managed properly by Athletics Kenya, or by whoever is vested in managing athletic talent in Kenya, and a couple of them, because I've seen Kenyans running for Israel, I've seen Kenyans running for very random countries, and yeah, we'll be talking about that. Again, I want to remind the listeners that you're tuned into the One Mic Show. I'm your co-host and producer, Ali Badawi, and on the show tonight we have a Kenyan athletic fanatic and passionate recreational runner, Lui Achungo. Now, Lui is talking to us about Kenya's performance at the ongoing Paris Olympics. He'll shortly be telling us why Kenya has been losing top talents to foreign countries over the years. Our lines are open. If you want to ask Lui any questions, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak, so feel free to call in. But before we continue, I wish to announce. Now, did people already type in?
No, they did not.
They did not? I think the only person who typed in was Washeke, and she said that Slay is gonna be the guest. So Washeke, we can confirm that that's wrong.
And JJ mentioned Mama Kamala.
Oh, Mama Kamala. Okay. That was.
I mean,
there's
she's
like a 1% chance.
She's there. I mean,
like a 1% of 1% chance.
Kuwa.
Mama la kuja utuongeleshe
If
bwana.
Omosh doesn't sneak in Trump, yes.
Yes, if Omosh doesn't sneak in Trump, my goodness, if Trump is snacking over here, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, but but yeah, I mean, I like I wanted to reveal.
Give hints.
I
How about
wanted
you
to
give
reveal
hints?
the guest? Okay, hints. Let me see. What
Something,
kind
and
of hint?
then we just you see if somebody will get.
Let me see. A hint.
Have they been on the show?
Okay, now I can confirm this. He or she's never been. Okay, let me say it's a he. That's one hint. Let me give it away. And he's never been on the show before. This will be his first time ever on the show. Na hiyo hint Mika ametoa, I think hiyo imetosha. Smile yake wanamaliza wa mama sana, and I know this is gonna activate wa mama who've been silent on the chat. They might have something to say about that. So type in, let us know who you think it is, and then we'll let you know. Very big guest is gonna be coming on later this month. We're gonna be revealing the dates too. I mean, Washeke says Ruth. I mean, of course, it's not Ruth because we said it's
He.
It's a he. So, and he has never been on the show. Na smile yake wanamaliza wa mama. So yeah. So please type up there. Let us know who you think it is, and then we're gonna be revealing that shortly. Now we wanna go to Ama Omosh. You had something that you want. But you will give another hint. You'll give it away.
Are they from the coastal region?
No other hints being given. They are not from the coastal region, but no other hints.
No,
being
they're
given.
not banana.
Yeah. No other hints being given.
See, I'm just trying to help.
And then let me see.
Slow has just been.
Yeah, and then Slayer say Joho, no, just Slay, you're
See,
wrong.
Joho.
And then Washeke says no, I was just tagging Ruth here. Okay. So yeah, so we're gonna get back
Washeke
to
caught
that.
astray.
Yeah. we're gonna get back to that. Louis, wanna come back to you on the Kenyan struggles. Now, before we get to the Kenyan struggles, and Washeke, it's not Oparanya. It's definitely not Oparanya. Yeah, but I like your thinking. But it's not Oparanya. But now, going back to, yeah. Okay, now whatever Mika said is not associated with the One Mic show.
And those are Mika's own
views.
sentiments.
Those
and
are Mika's
views.
sentiments and views. But anyway, back to the topic. The Kenyan struggles in the Olympics. Louis, let's begin with our very good friend from Twangaren, Ferdinand Omanyala. What exactly happened there? We had very high hopes. And I've seen that there's a pattern, like when he's running in Kenya, or I want to say on the African continent, he tends to score, like very high record-breaking times. But when he gets onto these big stages for some reason, that time is not much. This time he was not even able to make it to the finals of the 100 meters. I mean, of course, that lineup was so deep. This is one of the deepest 100-meter lineups I've seen in a while. But Louis, talk to us, with Omanyala's situation. I know it's not been easy for him preparing, but just give us, the lowdown of what was happening there. Louis.
Well, I happen to also be a very close friend to Ferdinand Omanyala, and I've watched him go through his training programs. I have facilitated some of his training programs here in the United States, albeit briefly prior to the Olympics in Paris. It would be too soon and too early for me to say anything because, number one, I'm not an expert. Number two, I am not deeply ingrained into his business and his daily activities and how he actually faces the races and stuff. But me being a friend to him and having been heavily involved with him while he's in the United States, for the last almost 2 years right now, and helping him out also with access to trainings and, just whatever that he would require for preparation to the Olympics. I would say this, there's always a good day and a bad day in the office. What could have changed? I honestly really do not know. He would be the best person to say what really changed. And he felt that after the very first heat where he blew the stage, but then coming over to qualify for the semifinals, it was a little bit harder for him. He would be the best person to answer that question. I don't think I'm in a position to answer that one. But what I can also say, though, is the depth of the field that he was running against to qualify for the semifinals was kind of unimaginable. But also, if you look at his time that he ran a pretty decent time. The earlier heat, he did a 10.8, it was 10.81. Then the second one, he also did a 10.8 something, but those guys are smashing a little bit higher numbers than that. What really happened there, I cannot tell. Honestly, I do not know. Even when you speak to Coach, he has his own explanations, and I wouldn't want to share them at the moment. It's still fresh in the minds of many, including him himself, Omanyala, and his manager, and his coach as well. So I don't want to get myself into those details. But when you get to look at majority of those 100-meter runners, they all perform best in their home crowd. Noah Lyles, when he runs back home here, he smashes numbers that are very unbelievable. When Oblique Seville ran in Jamaica, where Omanyala was also participating as well, he literally smashed the record. He did a 9.78 and no 9.79 before Omanyala came out. I think he did a 9.78 in Kenya, I think, if I'm not wrong. No, Omanyala had done that before. So Omanyala, when he was in Kenya, he did a 9.77. That was in 2022, or was it 2021? So it's more of a home advantage. When you have that crowd fuller, it kind of like gives you that enthusiasm and motivation for you to actually do better. Me personally, knowing Omanyala, he's somebody who relies on the crowd a lot to push him. So probably, maybe that could also have been some of the anesthetics behind it. But I'm not a professional to be able to determine that, so I cannot answer more.
Okay, fair enough, Louis. And I think the next Olympics. Ngoja kidogo Mika. I think the next Olympics is gonna be in the United States. So if Omanyala is coming, I think we can guarantee him that he will have a very big crowd of Kenyans cheering him there. Because Paris, I don't know, how many Kenyans are there, but when the Olympics comes to the US, I think there will be a very big 4 years from now.
28.
Yeah. So he'll still be, he'll still be eligible. I know Nimbali, but he'll still be eligible. But Mika Kona Maoni, I can even hear, I can even anticipate what Maoni is going to give. But Mika, let's hear what you have to say.
Have you heard him sigh?
Yeah, let's hear what you have to say, Mika.
No. I totally agree with everything that Lui has said, right? And one thing that for me, I can say the difference. Like if you saw that field, I know people are. Let's look at the finish. There was a photo finish of 3 guys, right? Those are 3 guys who had a photo finish for the number 1. So that's how close it is. But then if you look at the chasing part, it wasn't that far off.
No, they were close.
It was right there, right? So this is where it comes down to what advantages do you have over the other athletes. So you have talent. All of you have talent there. You have speed, right? All of you have speed, you have technique, you have trained, right? But there's something called game day preparation, game day readiness. And sometimes game day readiness goes to a single thing as who has the better supplements than the other one. Because you need that extra edge to be able to allow your body to synthesize that protein and give you the best advantage of it. To give yourself that energy boost that you need, so those carbs that are in your sugars are burnt faster than anybody else. Your lungs have to be tip-top. So it goes down to sports science. And that is why there was that edge in that particular race. Like everybody was so good, but then if you look at the people who finished top, are the people who are actually close to resources than anybody else.
So just to chime in a little bit also on there, Mika, sorry to cut you short for there, my apologies. Having a chat with Manyala just after this whole situation, he told me some point that, Lui, I have beaten everybody that was in that field before.
True.
And like right now, I think the number one person is Usain Bolt. And we have Tyson Gay, and I think we have Johan Blake. And remember, Manyala also beat Johan Blake in Kenya during the Kenya Classic. There's Asafa Powell, Justin Gatlin, then Christian Coleman, who was not in the race for the 100 meters because he didn't qualify. Then there is Trevor Bromell, whom Omanyala beat also before, and Fred Kelly, who was there. And Omanyala is the number 9 in the world right now with 9.77. So even if Noah Lyles came up with 9.79, he still has not beaten Omanyala's time. So what I'm trying to say is that when athletes go out there for these races, there's always a good day and a bad day. You would think that maybe I'm prepared, but some dynamics may just not be able to make it, and you turn back and you say, no, this is not my day today. So probably the best person that can be able to explain that in depth would be either the coach or the people around him that look at his physiology and those kind of anatomy.
Well,
yeah, that's true. That's true, Louis. I agree with that. Like at the end of the day, the person who actually will be able to explain everything himself is not even the coaches and everything. It's the runner himself, because he's the one who's right there on the field, right? Maybe while you were warming up, you didn't warm up. You didn't warm up well. Maybe you pushed or something. Maybe you're not just feeling it that day. You didn't sleep well. Your mind was like there's so many reasons. As somebody who has played sport, I can tell you there's so many reasons whereby you have a bad day. And you look at it, and everybody looking at you knows that when they were seeing you training, when they were putting you on the field, they knew you're gonna have you're gonna beast that day. But then it's just into you. So that's true. That's it. Like for me, where I'm coming from with my point, where I'm coming from my point is just saying that the support system also sometimes comes in play and helps out. But at the end of the day, it's the athlete who will tell you the more reason why that day was not a good day. But let's continue this conversation. I need to end it. My Django will come in later on.
Okay, sawa. Asante sana, Mika. And with these 100-meter runs, to me, they're very interesting. They're one of the most interesting events because the margins are so small. It's a breath, it's a step, it's like how you lay down the head, like on the finish line, what they were calling the torso, like the margins are so small.
Yani chest.
Yeah, the margins are so small now, and that's when I learned that you could have crossed, your legs could cross fast,
torso, chest.
but what they count is the torso.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's the head or the chest.
Torso on your chest.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you see most runners, when they do what they do is
they lean forward
with the
yeah.
chest.
But then my thinking, like my amateur thinking was, because you're running with the legs and this is a foot race, they would look at whose feet cross fast. That was my thinking, and that's why.
That would be a disadvantage. You could not run a miguu refu.
I mean, kuna watu wana miguu refu ndio, but of course longer legs, that will always be an advantage because you're clearly taking fewer steps than a shorter person over the 100-meter range. So
since steps, kuna watu vakiatu number 12.
That's another thing, yeah, and of course because margins ni ndogo, even a bigger shoe size can end up making you be the one who crossed that line first. So quite interesting. I think they should allow draws because Ikitu, I think at the best they should have given both of them gold medals. But
Ali imagine that, when you're an Olympic champion, this is something you've worked out for 4 years, right? There's that pride. There's just some competitions that there's some things that cannot end in a draw. There's some things that they'll have to have a winner. Because this is something like, you see, give an example, DuPont, right? DuPont has won everything in rugby. They didn't have to come and play the Olympics. But that pride of playing the Olympics. You see somebody like Toll, right? How bringing back rugby to the Olympics was such a big deal to him because he had a dream of playing in the Olympics, and he was running before he got rugby. But then when there was a chance of rugby they petitioned it, and you see those countries that actually made rugby come back, or these smaller nations like Kina Fiji, Kina Nani, who have never won a gold medal in the Olympics, but rugby gave them that chance.
Okay.
So there's that pride that you cannot say, like, Kituko Olympics can never have a draw.
Okay,
there has to be a clear 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. There's other sports that give draws in Olympics. For example, easy to come a pole vault, high jump. They've given draws before. So, but anyway, that's a story for another day. A couple of comments coming here.
So Ali, one thing just before we digress on that one.
Yes.
For 100 meters, after learning from Omanyala's manager the other day, he told me that they do not consider the arms, legs, or feet when you get to the finishing line. They look at your body, the torso is what they look at. So somebody else could be having longer legs or maybe longer arms. They don't count on that. And that's exactly what Mika was saying. So they look at your torso, that's what the chest is what they look at, that will determine when you have won the race or not.
Okay, all right, very good to know. You know, like some hot take comments have been coming here while we were having our conversation. And then Stephen JJ alikuwa anasema Jimmy Wanjigi. No, that guest is not Jimmy Wanjigi, but I like how you guys are thinking. I will say you're in the right direction. You know, I think I'm gonna give another hint. This is someone who's gonna I'm gonna read the comments. Yeah, this is someone who's coming from Kenya. So that right there is another hint that I'm gonna give. So type up if you know who that guest is gonna be. So yeah, so some hot take comments were coming here while we were having this conversation. I wasn't even sure, should we read them, should we not? But anyway, you know, like because my fans wamendikezi comments, I think it's only fair we read them. So Esther Mulusa feels like cheating on Laventa jinxed him. The same thing happened to Tiger Woods, just saying. And those are the opinions of Esther Mulusa and Esther Mulusa alone. You know,
and not endorsed by the One Mic Show.
All right, there you go. That's Esther Mulusa's feeling. And then Washeke hapa anasema Esther, the power of a praying woman. And then, hey, okay, wow. And you guys are going in on this. You know, Washeke, Esther anasema, Laventa raised him up when he was in the trenches. Women impact destinies. It ain't no jokes. Because we, you know, like on the show, hizi ni story watu nasikia from the rumor mill. We don't have any evidence. We can't talk about that. You know, like that's moving
swiftly.
Yeah, moving on swiftly. Now, Luis Muya says, I agree with Mika. Sports science, correct me if I'm wrong, Omanyala performs well in meets where he only has to run one race. But in multi-day events where he has 3 events within 2-3 days, he seems worn out towards the end, semifinals. Okay, so another interesting observation. And then Mubelwa says, it's the nose that counts, Bana. Okay. I don't know about that. That will give an advantage to people with long noses.
Like him.
Like Mubelwa. So Mubelwa atakuwa na advantage kwa 100 meters.
Ile mbaya.
Okay, sawa. And then...
You're saying that he has a whitey nose.
And then hapa, Brown Sugar Jones Minotis anasema Onesimus Murkomen. No. It is not Onesimus
Wow.
Murkomen.
And he's not coming with watches.
Yeah, he's not coming with watches nor belts. He's not coming.
Murkomen akikuja kwa show tutampiga ngeta. Mimi sikuenjoy.
Washeke amesema Sakaja Dimples. No, it's not Sakaja Dimples.
wow.
But I like how you guys are
They are,
thinking.
they are moving, eh?
But I think hapa pia Washeke ana reveal because unakumbuka ile hint Mika alitoa pale mwanzo. Ile Mika hiyo Mika hiyo hit yako Mika, hebu rudia tena in your own words.
Smile yake umaliza wa mama mbaya.
Okay. So sijui kama smile ya Sakaja
Kwanza ya
imemaliza
mama wa
Washeke.
Nairobi.
Yeah. Yeah, so sijui kama
Achungo.
smile ya Sakaja ilimaliza Washeke, but Washeke amesema
Inaona-
Sakaja Dimples.
Kuna Sakaja, kuna Oparanya.
Na
sasa
sasa kuna Engineer Sudi.
Hizo zote zinamaliza.
Wacha ni
Zinamaliza
wapatie
Washeke.
hint moja. Watu
Now I'm
watu
starting
walipeana
to
na-
suspect
watu-
Washeke's taste. But anyway, Mika tupatie hint.
niongeze hint moja.
Ongeza hint
Namba
moja.
yake ilipeanwa asalimiwe, lakini watu wakaanza kumkatia wakitaka date.
Aye,
I think that one. I think that will be good enough.
that will be good. Namba yake ilipatiwa watu wamsalimie, but watu wakaanza kumkatia kuitisha madate. Wamama wakaanza kumkatia. But anyway, we will be revealing that shortly. Let's see, like if people can take hints, and then we'll talk about that. Now going back to Kenyan struggles, Louis. We haven't been performing as well, because I remember there was a time when we ruled most distances, men and women, starting from 800 meters, going to 1500 meters, 3000 meters steeplechase. It was that was
Clockwork.
We were customers, yeah, as we would always win it, clockwork. And then 5,000 and 10,000 meters had been a challenge, but we were very competitive in both 5,000 and 10,000 meters. Like from what we are seeing so far, there is a lot of struggle. Some of it is being attributed to others knowing what we are doing, and even others coming to Kenya to train in Kenya, to train with us and see what we are doing. But then again, there is the aspect of preparation that has been brought up before by former marathoners, former athletes like Douglas Wakihuri. So, Louis, could it be that other countries are out preparing Kenya? Because we know where the talent lies. Like there's no doubt where the talent lies. But could we be victims of being underprepared, or are other countries out preparing us? Or what is happening, in your opinion, Louis?
Wow. This could be a discussion that will take hours.
Actually, let's take those hours, Louis, today. Pia mimi niko na time ya kuongea hii story.
Yeah, there are a lot of factors, very many factors. First of all, let us be honest with each other. Our country is ridden with corruption, a lot of greed, and selfish interests by anybody that is in power. Even that little watchman, I would say, sorry to use that word, little watchman, even that watchman at, an apartment complex, for as long as he's wielding that power over you, they can literally give you a very hard time if they wish to, and you'll regret it and you wonder why. We know that happens. It comes back from the colonial times, and it's ingrained to where we are right now, and it just drilled us all the way down to our political crisis. I wouldn't want to bring the political analogy into this conversation. I don't think it is important per se, although it still also impacts the performance, the preparedness, and the day-to-day life of our athletes as well. So when you look at it this way, some of the elite athletes, they have already made their way, but you do not know how they did it. Some of the young athletes, or the budding ones that are actually coming up, they have to get to know someone. That culture in Kenya of you must know someone, or you must have a network, or you must have a connection in order for you to have the doors open for you. We have a bunch that have really tried to showcase what they can be able to do, but they're always pushed back. And we saw that at the Olympic trials. And this is not the very first time. We saw the same thing at the Commonwealth trials. we saw the same exact thing going on prior to the Tokyo Olympics. We saw the same exact thing also happening prior to the Rio Olympics, when we had some political wrangles to do with the kids and stuff like that was going on, where athletes had to actually go source for money. I know of one athlete that had to go sell land, his father's land, so that he could be able to bribe an official in order for him to get a position in the team to make it over to the Olympics. Not this particular Olympics, but the past ones. These are stories that are already very well known. And with the political situation right now and the economy, how it has also been running, and poverty that we are experiencing back at home, majority of our athletes are running away from poverty. It's unlike, maybe I want to talk about other countries I do not know, but let me talk about the United States. Someone like Gabby Thomas is running from what kind of poverty? I don't really think there is any. This is a Harvard School student with a master's in epidemiology, with a bachelor's in neurology. I mean, surely there is no poverty she's running away from. What is a student like Shakari running from, at LSU, doing very well? These are people who had coaches straight from high school. Some of these coaches, like Titi Terry, was followed by her coach all the way. The coach was actually literally in Paris today when they were running the 4x100. And she has remained her coach all these many years until Titi has made it. Tia Clayton from Jamaica, Coach Francis, who was her coach in high school in Jamaica, in St. Monica and St. Christopher's and St. Catherine's, where she went, her and her twin sister, is still the coach until today. Faith Cherotich does not have a coach. Faith she was discovered running during cross country. I think it was cross country, no, high school competitions. Just finished Form 4 last year. When she did her Form 4 last year, if I'm not wrong. Yes, she was 19 years old. She doesn't have a coach. She does not have money to pay a coach. She has to find her way around in order for her to showcase her skill set. And the Athletics Kenya body does not give a damn about that. They do not care how or where you have come from. You come show us on the table what you have. And if you have something small to give us, maybe we can be able to give you an opportunity. That was the case before. Or if not, then we'll just figure it out. The ones that have been there before and they can talk well, they'll go ahead of you. It's the same situation that Yavi went through. So Yavi had it very hard for her to even make it under the under-20 team. And she decided, her coach actually is the one who advised her, leave today, just go if you can. I'll find you something to do somewhere else. And let's see if this agent that you're talking to will make the door open for you. And she moved over to Bahrain. In Bahrain, you might ask me, why did these fellows leave Kenya and go to other countries and they succeed and they've been doing better? That's not even a question to ask. Number one, those guys have very good training facilities and they invest in them. If you look at us during the Olympic trials in 2024, the athletes were almost going on strike. I think some of you guys might have seen Diego standing up for all the athletes.
Yeah, we remember.
And he said that this is not a good thing for us guys to be provided substandard fields for us to go ahead and prepare for the trials for the Olympics, because it meant for even the 5,000 and 10,000 runners and even the 800-meter runners, they were not going to have time that would be accepted for Olympic trial qualification time if they were going to use the Ulinzi Sports Stadium. I think it's on Langata Barracks, if I'm not wrong. Something like that's, I think, where it is. So they had to convince Athletics Kenya to allow them to either use Nyayo Stadium or Kasarani. But again, at around that time, Nyayo Stadium and Kasarani were busy being used for this pastor, that's politics, I don't want to get myself into it, but, for other functions that made no sense, while we were supposed to be investing all this energy into our athletes, when we know that the Olympics is barely 6 months away. The trial times have to be submitted way beforehand. The deadline was June 30th. We had a few people who were injured from the other races that they were running during the year, because that's how they make their daily bread for some reason, because Athletics Kenya doesn't care about what you do prior to national duty. You're on your own. Ebenyo got injured. Ebenyo was, I think he still is, I think the second fastest half marathoner right now in the world, if we speak. He's missing out. Why? Because he could not be able to make it because he fell and stumbled. But Emmanuel Wanyonyi, who stumbled on the trials, I think to the second or third heat, he was able to appeal and they allowed him to go ahead and represent Kenya. There are reasons behind it. Ebenyo's time during the whole entire course here with the races that he's running outside the country were way much better and they're very well known and accredited in all the stadiums that he's ran. So these investment training facilities that we're having in Kenya are an issue. And that's the reason why you find someone like Yavi, you're having someone like Helen Obiri. She's moved over to Colorado. Is it Colorado? Yeah, she's in Colorado right now. That's where she trains. We have Mary Ngugi. She's now the owner, or rather the creator and the CEO and owner of Nala Girls Academy in Nanyuki. They're all outside the country training because they have better facilities out there. The coaching programs do not exist in Kenya. If you look at Kelvin Kiptum, the late, I knew about Kiptum about probably 6-7 years ago when he went to Valencia. Kiptum didn't even have a coach. He didn't even have shoes. He went to his cousin, Geoffrey Kamuror, and borrowed him his shoes for him to go run at the Valencia half marathon, where he shattered it completely. At that point in time, Athletics Kenya did not care where you were. But the moment you show up somewhere where you've used your own finances, because he had to buy his own ticket with no coach, no athletic gear. He didn't even know how to maneuver his way around Valencia, but he shattered the world record. Before now, he went back and then he smashed. No, he came number 2 with the marathon completion of, I think it was the first flat race, men only, of which he won as well. So when you look at it this way, the coaching programs in Kenya do not exist. They pick you from high school, or you find your way from high school by yourself, and you say, my dad has nothing. We have nothing at home. I have inherited 0. The only thing that I can be able to do is become an athlete. That's what Kelvin Kiptum did. He refused to go to Polytechnic and become an electrician. He said, I'm going to run. But run where? He could not even be allowed to go to his favorite spot where he used to run, which is closer to his home, called Fluorospar. You have to pay to go there. Those guys go late in the evening or late in the night sometimes. They practice for maybe 2-3 hours, then they drive back. Unfortunately, he left us while driving from Fluorospar, going back home. If we could have training facilities that are funded by the government, if we could have coaches that are actually funded by the government, most of these coaches have to be paid. Many of them are working pro bono, like the Catholic priest at E10. He doesn't charge anybody anything. That man has just been chipping out and bringing champions in and out whenever you want it, and he does not even ask for a penny. When you look at the exposure to international competitions, these guys cannot be able to afford to be able to go out there and compete with other people so that they can actually feel the pressure of what it means to actually be outside the country and compete with their fellow competitors. It is hard for them to actually be able to do it. But when they go to other countries like Bahrain, where they have very few people that are competing, yet they have the money and resources to invest in athletics, and they get to treat their athletes with decorum. There is no corruption. And when you look at the exposure that they generate and they give them, Yavi has ran, I think, 4 or 5 different Diamond League races last year. How many do you think Major Beatrice Chebetas ran last year? She didn't run many. I think she only ran 2. And then before that, she was running the cross country. We have this young girl, Immaculate Anyango. She's the current second fastest 10,000 meters cross country runner. Immaculate came to Atlanta. She attempted to run the pitch to road race. She had no coach. She was all by herself. She got into the bus, went to the hotel. The following day, she was flying out. Nobody cared about her. Those are the issues to why when you find some of our athletes, they get an opportunity when they get out here, they will run away with it and leave. And don't forget, we have spotters that are always looking for them. They're always looking for them. So the moment they find their ticket to be outside the country and a spotter gets to see their talent, they pick them up and they never return back to Kenya.
Now, Louis, this is so profound. I mean, and this is one of the reasons why we got you here, because these details that you're giving, I think most Kenyans see the glory, and the goals on the track with all the lights, camera, action, but they don't know the struggles that these athletes are going through, even just to make it there. And then for everyone who's made it there, there's probably at least 10 or 20 who are probably were as good at some point, but just were not able to get that boost. Now, you mentioned spotters. And maybe, like you're going to define who spotters are, because you once talked to us about, like all these foreign agents who are all over the place in E10, just looking for talent, which means they're not doing charity. They're looking for talent that they know that they know that talent at the moment doesn't have money, but they know that they can grow. They can invest in them and grow them and profit out of them winning future races. So my question here, I know we talk a lot about the government, but I really have totally no hope on government, because if they've not been able to understand what Kenyans are saying based on these mandamanos that we've been having for the past 2 months, I'm really getting to that point where I'm saying they don't have that brain capacity to be able to do something like this. So my question here, is there a way in which maybe corporate sponsors can be taught, whereby we can have an entity where corporate sponsors can come in? Because the idea is invest, like in a young athlete, like before, who's shown potential. You invest in them for them to be able to do these diamond leagues, like you're talking about what Bahrain is doing for Yavi. Invest in them, and then in future, like there's business sense. Like once they start winning, you will, you will get a cut of the profits that will come out of this winning. Is there anyone who's talking about this, or is there any plan to have something of this sort? Because to me, Yavi especially is an example of mismanaged talent, meaning that you're young, you did not make it to the competition. So rather than put you in some kind of incubator to build you up to be able to make into the next competition, you're kind of abandoned. Go by yourself until when the next trials come in. So we don't care what you're doing. We don't care whether you have a coach. We don't care whether you have training. But then they just expect you to come back and to perform. So Louis, maybe talk to us. Is there, like any ideas or anything of trying to create entities outside government that will circle any of these young talented people, whether they've qualified or not for international competition? Louis?
So unfortunately not. Having sat in a webinar discussion with Catherine Dereba, the great.
Wow.
I believe she owns it's the High Altitude Training Center facility in E10.
Mm-hmm.
I just happened to pop into that session and just to listen to what people are talking about. It was quite an interesting talk of just a few friends who are having a chat. And you'll find that the government really does not invest in nurturing any of this talent. They will only pick up this talent from high school competitions and probably maybe primary school competitions, of which they'll just ignore, and they will not try to nurture them, put them into academies where they can be able to grow. So it is individual athletes who have already participated before, or maybe they're already in the game, like what Omanyala is doing right now with the Sprint Academy that he started last year. He's picking up, the speedsters from various schools and hoping that maybe he can nurture them to become someone in future. Something which the government should have done this from the days of Kennedy Ondieki, long time ago in the 90s.
Yes.
When Kennedy Ondieki was a shining star in 1996.
Yes, that's right.
Why did we have to wait for Omanyala to show up when he ran in Mumias with no shoes on? It took too damn long. And until today, there is no Sprint Academy. It's a shame. It is a shame.
Wow.
When you look at Nala Academy in Nanyuki, everybody was saying that it's E10, it is E10, it is E10 somewhere in Western Gishu. That's the only place where you can run. No, Mary Akiru came from Nanyuki. And she ran against this same Tsegai lady in Accra, Ghana, during the Africa Championships. And she actually came number 2 after our friend, our sister Tsegai, did the same thing that she did to Faith the other day. And Mary Akiru is a very young girl. She's barely 21, 20, and she just came from Nala Academy in Nanyuki. Mary Ngugi has literally nurtured about 28 young girls in Nanyuki, a high altitude area, and she's doing it by herself. Already, she has 3 girls that have given up very high accolades in the international stage, and she's funding it by herself. Where is the government?
My goodness.
Now, when you look at Catherine Dereba, she's doing it by herself with all her savings. Okay, and there's another private training facility also that is in Itan. I think it's near where my friend, the late rider, the road bike rider, used to also train with them, but he used to ride the bikes around there the whole yard and stuff. It's owned by one of the last, I think it is not Terragat, but I think it was one of the guys who ran in the Mexico Olympics, if I'm not wrong. These are all private facilities.
Kipkeino.
I think maybe Kipkeino, if I'm not wrong, a name closer to that. So you find that most of these facilities that we have that are churning out these young people, they're all private, and some of them have to pay to be there. Others are allowed to go in there for free. Okay, the government does not chime in. In Kaptagat, where we have Kamoror, where we have Kipruto, where we have Kipchoge, where we have Our Lady Faith, they train in Kaptagat. The government does not really step in to do anything. Those guys, they take care and sort for themselves out. You find themselves cooking ugali and doing all the stuff that they want to by themselves. The government does not even care to make life easier for them. Now you're talking about sponsorship. For sponsorship purposes, all these corporates, it's business. Business is all about making profits. They will not come and try to nurture you up in order for them to make profits. I mean, we already know that. They don't have time for that. The moment they see you shining out there is that they'll begin knocking at your door and saying, hey, can we use you as our brand ambassador? But if you do not showcase the talent and a winning talent, not just a talent, but a winning talent, corporates don't really care about you. And for the most part, the deals that the corporates do give the Kenyan athletes, they're so substandard. Majority of them are not even taken care of like they should be taken care of. I'm surprised that even when one of the athletes, I think I have had to deal with 2 athletes that have come to the United States, and one of them was stranded at a hotel lobby because nobody was there to tell her what she needed to do. She was stuck. She couldn't move. She couldn't speak to anybody. Her English is not, up to par. Her phone was not fully charged. She was struggling to even explain that she needed a charger that can be able to get onto the socket. There's no one to assist you. So the person whom she was calling was her corporate sponsor in Kenya, but those people are not willing to help her as such. They were not organizing for her to ensure that she can come and participate, which was one of the races that she needed to make a good time in order for her to make it over to the Olympic trials. So we have so many problems here that really they just don't add up. The corporates come in to help these fellows only when they're shining, put their name on it, and then force them to go to social media so that they can go ahead and spread their name up there and say, oh, we are with Soch of Korea, and you can phone whatever it is that they're advertising. I don't want to get into details, but I know this firsthand because I see it every day. They do not help them with the publicists that can work with them. They do not give them a stipend on time. They tell them, we'll give you a stipend for you being our brand ambassador, but it would even come maybe 6 or even 8 months later. Some of these fellows don't even have money to go to Uganda. Cheptegei had an event in Uganda at he has a facility that he opened up in Uganda, I think 2 years ago. and he has really pulled in quite a lot of athletes. Is it Nabonyo and I think Kalwal, Chemtai, all those athletes who come from the eastern region of Uganda and western region of Kenya, coming over towards the Mount Elgon area, going up north. They all train at Cheptegei's facility. Kenyans could not be able to afford just to go to that facility for a championship training exercise that they had. Why? Because that is the only money in athletics Kenya did not even care about it.
Wow.
And now this particular training facility that Cheptegei opened, it's funded by the Ugandan government. And the Ugandan government told those guys, if you go outside of this country and you win, you come back home, we are going to receive you very well, with a lot of accolades, prizes, nice presentations, and will give you a very good life. Tell me, how many houses do you think Nanyonyo owns right now? I think she has like 3.
Wow.
For all the medals she has brought in from outside the country, plus vehicles, So what will stop anyone from Kenya from going outside the country where they can be appreciated for the effort done?
Wow, Louis, this is so much to digest. I will read a couple of comments that were coming in while you were having this conversation, but I just want to bring this back to the studio. First of all, for us just to be able to just digest, like what Louis has said. Mika, I'm going to come to you, but I'm going to start with Omosh here. Maybe just give me your feelings about all these, intricate details that Louis has been giving us on trying to understand, some of the struggles that Kenyan athletes are experiencing. Omosh.
We've always known that our athletic bodies, as well as the Kenya government, their support is what's the right word? They only support you, like Louis is saying,
when you're winning.
Yeah. Right? And even that support when you're winning is also, I would venture to say, questionable.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, somebody goes out, wins, comes back, and whatever your winnings are, you're already being taxed. Whatever they are, right? Fine, folks need to pay taxes or whatever. But after a while of, playing this cat and mouse game of hide and seek with these guys, you also become amwerevu. Maybe you don't bring your money back, but just throwing that out there. But then the whole point of having the academies or having some sort of system where you nurture talent, you go after them and you help push them up, even if the Kenyan government set it up at an amateur level. A lot of times, as we have seen, when these folks go pro, whoever was that nurtured this talent gets paid. So if you look at it as a way of investment and start at the bottom, and you say, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to invest in these folks, I'm going to push them up. Worst case scenario, even if, say, they don't get picked up, at least they will have, gone through this system, and maybe even they can become a coach in one of our academies, or even, have some way of going to, say, Adidas or one of the other places and coaching in one of their facilities or something like that. I had the privilege of going to Atlanta and attending an Adidas event where Omanyala was there. There was a lot of chicks or ladies, I would say chicks, a lot of ladies from Jamaica. And what's that guy's name? Chief Louis.
Gatlin.
The guy who was by himself, the one you took a picture with.
Akine Sembine.
No, not him. The guy from Jamaica.
Oblique Seville.
That guy was by himself. This Seville guy who was in the finals.
Yeah.
Who did? Yep. We expected him to do better, and something must have happened. He had a bad day in the office.
Yeah.
And anyway, that was a tough race. But that guy was hanging out with us like me and you hang out.
Yeah, he was there in Atlanta.
Let me tell you, in fact, Chief Louis took a picture with him, and he told me, he's like, you see this guy over here? After he took the picture, he said, see the guy I just took a picture with. As we were watching the guy walking to the bus. He's like, that's the guy you need to watch. Like, you see that guy there? That guy is... And me, I was like, oh, okay. Because Chief Louis was so excited to see the guy and hang out with him.
Yeah, because Louis knows them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Then now you turn around to Olympics. This is hardly, what is it? It's 3 months, 4 months, about 4 months. The guy is in the finals. You know what I'm saying? So
remember. First of all, sorry to cut you short, Mosha. After they left Adidas,
correct,
exhibition, they went to Jamaica,
yes,
and he smashed the record.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And when you see the guy looked like a schoolboy carrying in fact, he was a dirty schoolboy with a Jamaican t-shirt wearing, carrying a backpack. Chief Lui, have I lied?
No, that's true. We even have photo evidence.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
So just to go back to, back to your question, if we can find, like I think the Americans have, what do they call it? It's not an Olympic committee. What do they call that sports body? The one that has the athletes, that helps all the athletes and all of that. I forget.
I think there's a lot of different federations that.
Yes, but they have one large one, right? That's US Athletics or something. I think it's USA Athletics or something like that. If we can establish something like that actually has.
We do have one, Athletics Kenya.
What are they doing?
So here's the deal. Let me actually first of all go ahead and read some comments, because a lot of comments have been coming in. Watu hapo wananishambulia, sijasoma comments. Gonna go back to where people had started guessing, who our guest is gonna be. Esther Mulusa is saying Samido. Brown Sugar is saying Linus Kaikai, you're both wrong. And then Stephen JJ is talking about Ata Caretaker. This was back when I think we're talking about the way corruption is in Kenya, that even caretakers and watchmen, like take place in the corruption.
Hey, caretaker quite powerful.
That guy is very powerful.
Yes, and then let me see, Esther says psychological fatigue, delayed visas, and lack of pay and lack of support of athletes by our government. That plays a part, especially in sports that have very small margins, like 100 meters races. Like any small thing, any small disturbance can just put you completely off. And then Brenda Karibu Sana. Brenda says, the Kenyan athlete scene is extremely sad. Some sports do not even have a working federation. And then Washeke says it boils down to lack of investment in sports. By now, we should have diversified into the other sports and actually excelling. Stephen JJ says how bad leaders have really affected our patriotism. And then Brown Sugar says kulikuwa na crusade at Nyayo Stadium. And then Brown Sugar says E10 training camps have been leased to foreigners because they pay more money. Sheke, Bahrain seems to be doing a killing with our athletics. And then let me see. Brown Sugar says Eldoret Express, Janet Jepkosgei is also doing it by herself. And then Washeke says, what Louis is saying is heartbreaking. My heart is broken for all these young people with so much talent, but no one to support them. And then I see Stephen JJ here saying, Highway Secondary tumeshinda national championship in soccer. Alumni tumetumiwa message ya kuchanga pesa ya matracksuit. Yani sisi kwa sisi, no goodwill, we are on our own. And then Sleodwara anasema Alanamu. No, but Alanamu was actually meant to come on the show at some point. We just were not able to put together the dates. But the guest is not Alanamu. But remember the hints that were given. Madimples, no, haikuwa Madimples, ilikuwa smile yake. Inafurahisha wa mama. And then the other one was, he's coming from Kenya. And then what was the other hint? I can't remember what other hint it was. But yes,
alisalimiwa na malikes.
Alisalimiwa na malikes. Namba yake ilikuwa posted, watu wamsalimie, but wa mama ndo akaanza kumkatia huko kwa simu. Aya, sawa. So you can go ahead and continue guessing. So Mika, let me come to you real quick. Just give us a brief analysis of just some of the things that, some of the very pertinent things that Louis was talking about, and maybe what direction are we heading? Because as you know, this government, I totally don't have any faith in them. So at this point, if I'm looking at solutions, I'd be looking at solutions outside government, because this current government, as it is set up, this handshake, broad-based government, I don't have any hopes in it. But anyway, Mika.
But unfortunately now is that anything that you do, you have to go through AK if you want to do anything that is anything that you can. Let's say you have a company, you have money, you want to start and sponsor certain things, you'll have to go through the federation, especially due to tax ramifications. And unfortunately, the federation is curtailed up to local politicians. You do remember when we were having that, the Gen Zs over here, the one who was excited to go speak to Ruto, and one of the reasons he was excited was because he comes from those running areas, and he was going to talk about his friends who are training to become runners and what difficulties they're facing, right? Like, it gets to a point whereby in some areas it's controlled by the politician, even who is going to get a chance when that time to come and go run abroad comes. Like, you have to bribe him for you to go through. So it's so bad that AK down to the local politicians in the area frustrate the development of just even the local runners in that area. Even them just accessing those academies boils down to you, who are you, who do you know, what do you do? Like, there's a lot of corruption and everybody wants to benefit. Now, so if you say that you tell a Safaricom to help in nurturing this, you'll have to go through the AK, and unfortunately, AK will get away on how they want. They will steal this. Now, you see, most of the people who build these training facilities are former athletes, are people who have been running before. They know how to deal with them. They know what to put in. But it's not enough, as Lui rightfully said out here. How do we fix this? We fix this by enacting legislation that allows you to fund sports and development on a broad-based social basis, the way they do in Europe. You see the way in the UK, whereby PE is compulsory, and the PE that is compulsory is not just PE ya kugo kurukaruka huko. Schools work with academies. Schools work with other systems to be able to identify talent, and talent is in various sports. All the sports that they have out there, you will find that your child will go through a certain sport in school to determine she's not sport able, then at a co-excuse later on. But at some point, you will play some sport. You will run, you will hoop, you will do everything. They'll have to figure out is their talent here. And once there's talent, create a clear pathway on how this is done, so that where the private sector comes in, it comes in with the sports academies that are run by the clubs, that are run by individuals, that are run by organizations. And together with the government, there's always that supply chain of talent that is coming through. These kids start playing these games when they're young. These kids start being developed when they're young. That is what the government needs to do. Ensure that is how it not be through each individual federation, give the federation money to. No. You take care of that development, and then where the federation comes in is when in that particular academy, let's say if it's a soccer academy, then KFF will come in, and what KFF ensures is that the academies that these clubs have are set up to basic government requirement on ensuring that education of these kids still continues with the development, and you are oversight of how these clubs are running and competitions on that, but nothing else. Money for development doesn't go through the federations, and we just have to hold the government accountable for that. That is how we're going to solve that. Unfortunately, before we get there, the Minister of Sports got sworn in and flew to Paris. Ameenda kupiga shopping. Ngoja arudi sasa na patek mpya. Utashangaa.
Yes.
So, Mika, I
Yes.
think I do agree with everything you said there. Let me add on to something. The governing council of athletics, the governing board of athletics, and the IOC, plus the one for the Commonwealth Games, they will not talk or speak to a private entity that is sponsoring athletes from another country. They'll only speak to a government entity. And whom do we have in Kenya? It is Athletics Kenya. In 2022, we were at the brink of Athletics Kenya and even Kenya itself being banned from competitions because of doping, if you remember. Around that time, we had 91 out of competition doping cases, and we had about 41 in competition doping cases. That put Kenya at a very bad spot with the IAAF, that Kenya had to show we are going to work on this to try and fix it. They didn't understand the reason why doping had, become such a prevalent situation in Kenya, which way back before, we never heard about that. We were a powerhouse, in all sections. Trust me, probably, maybe, I would say minus anything lower than 800 meters, Kenya dominated everywhere, literally. Where did the doping come from? That's a topic that you can be able to also talk to governance of the country as a whole, because of poverty, everybody's striving to make it. They want to do the best that they can, and they're realizing that other countries are also doing better, because with time and the world becoming a global village, these other countries are finding out our training tactics, they're finding out our high altitude advantages that we have, and our endurance training, and then coupled with science, when they go back to their countries, and diet and how they try to switch it around, and they do even better with proper governance. The Kenyan government decided to disband the whole entire AK, literally in 2022. I think we ran without Athletics Kenya for almost 8 years. It was being ran by some, I think, interim kind of shoddy, setup, if I'm not wrong, for some reason, until when they finally decided to put up something, when they were told that if we continue having this kind of in-competition cases, then there's going to be a problem. We had a few people who were banned. I think Abel Kipsang was one of them. We had Chep Getich, she was also another one who was also banned. We had Chep Kosgei, who was banned for 2 years. We had Rono, who was banned for 4 years. We've had quite a number of them that were banned, and Kenya was trying to show that they're trying to adhere to IAAF. Now, where were we having these loopholes that we're having people who are doping and still being allowed to go and compete? It is cartels. And who's running these cartels?
The politicians.
There you go. You just answered yourself.
Wow.
That has been the problem.
With what's happening in the country right now, I feel like sending Gen Zs to go and do an analysis of what's happening, because these Gen Zs have been very effective at uncovering stuff. And the interesting thing in Kenya is that these corruption cases, they're hidden in plain sight. These reports on doping, reports on theft of money, all of them, if you go online and do a Google search, you will find articles, you will find documents available of what's happening. But then, of course, I've lost my trust in government, but Louis brings a very important point. Those international bodies are not gonna engage with private entities. So it either has to be a government entity or a government sanctioned entity. Before you come in, Mika, like you were talking about legislation, to me, when I hear that L word, I now call it the L word, I get concerned, because Kenya has all kinds of legislation. Even when it comes to sports, if you just go to kenyalaw.org or any other website.
I actually wanted to correct that the use of that word. I wanted to use the R word. I wanted to say regulation.
Regulation. Okay.
Regulation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And regulation has to do with the executive taking action, which has been the problem, because all they want is dialogue. Whenever there's a problem, they tell you task force.
Dialogue. No, but proper regulation. When you have proper regulation in place, whereby that you as the governing body of the sports,
yes,
are supposed. You see, the NBA can do whatever it wants with basketball.
Yes.
As long as it's within the regulations that Congress has put for them.
Yes, for sports federations.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. They can do it, they can run it the way it is. The moment Congress says that, they will have to ship, and that is what is needed in Kenya also. FKF, Kenya Rugby, KBF, all those federations, let them deal with the governing bodies on the world, but they have to do what the government tells them to do. And what the government tells them to do need to be something that has been set to work to favor the people and to grow the sport in the country.
And now, Mika, you see, when it comes to back to what these mandamanos, what Gen Zs were talking about, which is why I've really identified with their movement and just what they're talking about. You see, for example, the regulation, of course, it's the executive, the government that's in power, but then you do have a parliament that's supposed to be oversighting. But because of this monster called CDF, MPs no longer oversight. And that CDF has been kind of like a pocketbook that where they use it for corruption and enriching themselves. So now the core task that they have, that's oversighting, because this is where now, if we had, people in parliament who are vested in sports, who have, personal interest in sports, maybe because a lot of their constituents are participating in sports, or maybe just because it's also a major national issue. This is where now the oversighting should have been on overload, what exactly is athletics Kenya doing? Which is why one of the things that we missed out on under the old constitution that we had was a system of having, a shadow cabinet, which I think that's something that we should try and bring back, because now we've been away from it for quite a number of years. A shadow cabinet is where you have a cabinet inside parliament of the opposing party, where you have a cabinet minister for all ministries, finance, trade, sports, and their day-to-day job is to oversight. And there's even an assistant minister. There's a whole structure to oversight. So there's people who are assigned certain tasks to oversight. As we know right now, our parliament is completely broken. It's been totally captured. So there's no trust. There's no trust in them anymore in giving us and providing us with solutions to these problems. So we're actually between a rock and a hard place. A couple of more comments are coming in before I come back to the panel and Louis. Guess is still coming on who the guest is going to be. For those who are just tuning in, we're going to have a major guest before the end of this month. We want you to guess who it's going to be. Hints were given. He's from Kenya. He has a smile that makes Wamama want to DM him. I'm going to add another hint because it seems like people are not getting. But before I give the other hint, let me read some of the names that were coming through. Of course, Leo saying Alanamu, Linus Kaikai. No, that's not the one.
Linus.
And then Esther Mulusa is saying Peter Kenneth. Peter Kenneth is so 20 years ago. I don't even know if anyone even cares about him anymore. But it's not Peter Kenneth. And then Slay saying Eric Latif. The interesting thing about these answers is that the ladies over here are revealing which smiles they like. But
True that.
So hapa Slay anasema Larimado, and then Brown Sugar anasema Jalas or Jeff Koinange. Well, okay. All right.
Interesting.
No, it's not.
Wacha niwapatie hint ingine.
Okay, wacha nisome hizi majina and then utawapatia hiyo hint. Slay anasema Boniface Mwangi, alafu anasema Hussein Khalid. Inaonekana Slay anapenda activists pia. Yeye ni mtu anapenda maandamano nini, but no, it's not those.
Anapenda my bad boy.
Yes, and then Brown Sugar anasema Slay is just throwing names of her crush ovyo. Okay? And then Evans Marube amekam in another tangent, but I like Evans Marube's direction. Evans Marube is going towards the right direction. Anakaribia. Amesema Babu Owino, but of course it's not Babu Owino, surely. And then Washeke Nirango anasema Gaidho. Now which Gaidho? There's two Gaidhos. There's Masharia and there's Frank. So fafanua ni Gaidho gani
You can pick either one.
Pick the one that you like.
You can pick either one.
You can pick the one that you like.
Either the one was picked by the cops or the one who went to the cops.
Oh, okay, the one went to the cops. Anyway, Mika, tupatie hint nyingine because inaonekana hapa.
Hii hint mkifaila tuwapatie hint nyingine. Hii hint was easy. We discussed about his political path last week on the show.
Okay, yeah, and that's a very good hint. So you already know it's a politician. You already know it's a politician, and we discussed him. I think it was last week or the week before last week.
It was last week.
So
No,
let's
last
see.
week.
Yeah, it was last week. Okay, sawa. So very good hints. Mazee Mika kwa hizi mahints inaonekana yani ni mtu amezisomea. So that's a very good
Dosage,
hint.
pole, dosage.
Yeah. So okay, so let's coming back to Lui. Because a lot of these things a lot of the questions that I had, you've already kind of answered them. And I think Slay and Washeke were the first ones to find the right answer. And yes, Edwin Sifuna is gonna be in studio on Friday the 23rd of August. So start preparing for it. We want to make sure that we milk this opportunity as much as possible. For you avid listeners of the One Mic Show, you're the first ones to know. We have confirmed that Edwin Sifuna will be in studio on the 23rd, coming to attend the Democratic National Convention that's going to be happening starting the 19th in Chicago. And as soon as they leave Chicago, they will be coming here. So mtayarishe maswali yenu, and please, mtu asiniulize namba yake.
Msiingie kwa DM.
Yeah, stories za kuingia kwa DM, there are very serious issues we are dealing with right now in Kenya. Wacha tusoti kitu. Wacha tusoti issues kwanza, and then mambo ya DM itakuja baadaye. But asante
So
sana.
Ali unasema Huruma is just an estate.
I don't know. We will find out if Huruma is an estate.
Na-
But we want to milk this opportunity.
Washeke amesema anatoa wigs kwa diliko box.
na hiyo siku kutakuwa na calling, there will be calling.
Water.
So all be prepared. We want to make it as interactive as possible. We want to make
Na
it,
msikuje kwa studio.
yes, you want to make it as impact. What Texas, if you're in town, we'll give you priority. If you come to town, we'll let you come. We'll let you come to studio. You come all the way from Texas, at least we'll pretend you've come to see us.
Boss,
Hata kama ni Sifuna amekuja kuona.
usiseme hivyo. Some people can book right now. They have Delta credits.
Well, ni sawa, mnaweza kuja. As you know, Omosh has a very, very big house, and they will always be
Space.
there will always be space.
Yes.
Just in case you don't have anywhere to spend the night. And
Lay
then
your head.
yeah, and
Yaani
then
umeambia madai medu anakuja. Shauri yako.
yeah, no, so hii kitu ni serious. I know, like watu watataka story ya madm na nini, but there's very serious issues confronting Kenya. So at least let's deal with that during the show.
But
Whatever
anyway,
happens after the show.
what we want to ask you is this.
Yeah.
You've heard him speak. You heard him at some point. He was nearly like the political face of the Maandamano.
Yes.
And then you've heard him speak about his stance with where ODM is. So we want you to prepare questions.
Yes.
Hard questions. He can handle hard questions.
Yes. Hard tackles. Don't be scared. And not who are you
Don't be
dating.
scared.
Not questions like
That's
who are
it.
you dating or who did you
Ati
cheat
uko na
on.
mtu.
Yeah.
Usimulize kaa kona mtu.
Yeah.
We want you to prepare questions. We want it to be an engaging session. We want it to be a point whereby it's not only us asking questions, it's you, the listeners, who have any burning questions. So if you have any burning questions based on anything political in Kenya,
I can guarantee.
piga simu na ukuje uongee.
I can-
Ukitaka, you want to ask about ODM, about the inclusive
Anything.
government, about
About
Maandamano,
Baba.
about
Yeah.
Senate,
Mhm.
about what they're doing, anything. Prepare yourself for Friday. Is it the 23rd or
It's
24th?
Friday the 23rd. It's Friday the
23rd.
23rd of August. Yeah.
Yeah, Friday the 23rd of August. Prepare questions for Honorable Edwin Sifuna.
Yeah, and also know that 23rd of August, that's going to be the last episode before we take a break. In fact, this time we've extended it more. We're going to take a break, Labor weekend. We'll confirm when we're gonna come back. But yeah, just prepare what you're gonna be doing those Fridays. After, I want to tell you before, but because you guys are very loyal to us, you're very loyal listeners, you are the first ones to know, even before we publish it, even before we print out the flyer. So be prepared. And of course, like feel free to share it with others who may want to participate in the show. I'm gonna come to Lui, to get to know what he may want to ask, what he wants us to ask Sifuna, or if he's gonna call him and ask him a question because he's in the Senate. I don't know how much the role of the Senate is when it comes to matter sports. I know the oversight what's being done in the counties. There's funding for sports within the counties. So I'd like to hear from Lui. But before that, let me read a couple of comments here that came in right after that big announcement was made. I can see Slay is telling Brown Sugar E for effort. And then Washeke, as soon as he got the news that Sifuna is going to be coming, she said, let me start dusting off my wig. Okay, sawa sawa. And then Brown Sugar says, mkona namba yake, niko na swali nataka kumuuliza. Okay, aya sawa sawa. So our responsibility is during what happens, like after the show, hapo sasa, hizo ni shauri zenyu. But Slay anasema, please, is there a reward for guessing right? Slay.
Yeah.
Is this?
We are struggling.
Sile mimi comment yangu acha nitume kwa group huko. It's not PG radio.
Yeah, and then Washeke anasema, I will start drinking olive oil so my voice is soft and smooth. Hey Washeke, can it get any smoother than it already is? But I guess for Senator Sifuna, olive oil it is. Brown Sugar says, kwanza sahi ndio mnatupatia ideas. Address ya Kilimanjaro Studios mara hiyo. First of all, you have to confirm that you're in town. We have to have confirmation that you're in town. Hatukupati to address hivyo ovyo, and then you send a representative.
Yeah.
Hatutaki hizo hapo.
You send the embassy to come and check.
Yeah. We hatutaki hizo hapo. And then Washeke anasema, so I can call in. I think that day we give people an opportunity on Zoom, ndo watu waonekane na ma-outfit na ma-Zoom ndo waonekane wajulikane, but we'll figure that out when that day comes. I don't know whether kuwapatia watu hiyo Zoom option itakuwa too complicated, but we'll figure that out. And then
wapige tu simu.
Yeah.
Zoom watakata kutoka.
Then Brown Sugar anasema niko na hard questions. Hard. I don't know exactly what that means, but Brown Sugar anasema niko na hard questions. And then
We would have been worried if the questions were wet.
okay.
Wow.
Okay, that is not.
Wow.
Again, that's Mika's opinion, and Omosh, it's not.
These are not things that the One Mic Show is endorsing.
Okay, all right, good. There you go. Sawa. So again, that was a big announcement. I'm glad you guys engaged us and you're able to guess it right. But Lui Kwako, if you get a chance, if you're available and you want to ask a question to Senator Sifuna about this current situation, I know he's a senator. What question would you ask him, or what direction would you take that conversation, Lui?
I think Kenyan politics is very tiresome. I would ask him what's the purpose of the opposition, him being the SG.
Okay.
What's his role, and how does he feel when his friends who vehemently talking negative or the opposite of the current UDA government, now that they've joined the government, why is he having a soft spot for them? What purpose is it? It's like they're just betraying the people.
Wow. Okay. All right. So
I think Chief Lui and Ali have been in the same WhatsApp group. Somewhere.
No, of course, it's very disappointing, what has happened, because now things that should be matters of priority have taken, a rest, as this new marriage has just been consummated.
Coalition.
And
Broad-based.
And of course, there are so many things like these issues happening at the Olympics right now, preparation. Remember that video you sent me, Mike, of marathon silver medalist 1988 Seoul Olympic Games, Douglas Wakihuri?
Yep.
Yes.
Who was saying other countries are preparing their athletes
I've been
for 4 years.
Correct.
For 4 years.
It's a 4-year preparation for Olympics.
Once Olympic imekwisha, like all these other, the ones who are in the Olympics and the ones who will potentially make the next Olympic, they already have coaches.
Yeah, Munainga training school.
They already have.
It's a job.
They have dietitians. They have people who are guiding them what they're gonna be doing for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months. Like slowly by slowly as they build up towards Olympics. In Kenya, like as long as there's no international competition, like what Lui told us, nendeni huko, mkajisort, and then when it's time for trials
for Olympic trials, you come back and we see.
Yeah, which is a very Juakali way of doing this. And the way Kenya is such a sporting powerhouse, I was very sad, to learn that this new education system that they introduced, the so-called CBC, they have not integrated sports. Because my thing was, Kenya is such a sporting powerhouse. I think it's very important to integrate sports as part of the physical education curriculum, like in such a way where talents can start being nurtured, where there's funding to start nurturing these talents from a very, very early stage. Weonaskia, like countries like Brazil, they already knew about Neymar when he was 6 years old. Someone already knew about him. These scouts have ways of detecting that this small kid can potentially become a very big star. Which we totally don't have. I think the first big stage that soccer players get, maybe even and athletes, is in provincial high school meets.
Yeah.
Which by that time, it's too late when you look at international competition. Mika, you had something you wanted to add.
No. For me, yeah, and I totally agree with you. But then the thing is, which I don't totally agree with you, because if you look at Bukayo Saka. If you Google Bukayo Saka right now, you will find pictures of him as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old running with a ball, right? Kobe Maino, Cole Palmer, all these young football players, Marco Rios in their specific country. You'll find a picture of them somewhere in playing 3, 4, 5-a-side games as kids, and they're developing and they're being developed into that. So for me, I totally don't understand how, as a country that's supposed to be sporting, as a country that is thinking that we have so much talent. And you know what we depend on in Kenya is talent, because Kenya knows that we will have runners who will qualify for the Olympic time when the time for the Olympic comes. We will have runners. So they're confident about that. The only thing that AK thinks about is we have the quality, we have the talent, we'll always have runners. But the thing is, if this talent was nurtured, if this talent was given all the opportunities was given. As I said earlier on, the 100 meters was won by very small margins. And those small margins will go back to how did you prepare for this race? Right? It goes back to your 4-year preparation and up to your final day preparation. Okay. But how did you prepare for this race? Remember what Usain Bolt used to say, that he prepared for 9 seconds for nearly 18 months. For those 9 seconds that he was going to run.
He actually said
to win a race.
It took him 5 years to run 9 seconds. And
So, and I remember I was listening to an interview that he did during the summer when he was playing for Soccer Aid, and he used to say him and his coach how they used to train. He used to say that they will train, then it gets to a point that he tells the coach, I need a break. I cannot increase my speed anymore from here. And the coach would look at him and tell him, okay, take a month break. And that month break, he said he will go everywhere, party. And he wasn't drinking. He knew how he used to maintain himself. But he will go everywhere because it's what? It's not his body, it's his mind. And then once he comes back, his mind has relaxed, he's gone back, reset to life, he's hanged up with his friends, women, everything, drinking, party, comes back, gets back to training. And he himself would tell the coach, I'm ready, let's book a race. That's how in tune he was with his body. So
Wow.
when we expect that Ali has won as a gold this year, and then we forget about Ali. Ali, we don't care how he does. Ali has to figure out for himself. As Leah said, many of them might win the first race, and it's not a big paying race. They still need money to be coming in to take care for themselves so they can be able to train and qualify for a money paying race. And this is another thing that we spoke about the other show. If we had those money races in Kenya, we wouldn't be having a lot of these problems. We don't even have any major race in Kenya, and we have all the talent.
That is
If we,
that is very sad.
like, yeah, like we can finance, we can actually finance our athletics because we have the field already. Getting the sponsors and getting the world organizations to come and give us a money race, we can provide the runners. Why we don't have it, sijui.
Aya, sawa sawa, Mika. I want to first remind the listeners that you're still tuned into the One Mic Show, and I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. Of course, on the show tonight, we have Kenyan athletic fanatic and passionate recreational runner, Lui Achungo. Lui, of course, is talking about Kenya's performance at the ongoing Olympics and some of the struggles that the Kenyan team was experiencing. We'll shortly be asking why U.S. sprinter Noah Lyles blamed COVID on his 200 meters finals loss. So you want to stay tuned for that. Our lines are open. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Feel free to call in. But before we continue, I want to remind the listeners again that on Friday the 23rd of August, the One Mic Show will be hosting Senator Edwin Sifuna live in Kilimanjaro studios. This is not going to be a Zoom interview. It's going to be live in studio. So mark your calendar and feel free to start submitting your questions right away. Now, Louis, let me come back to you. You know, like besides the Kenya team, you know, like the events, what are your overall feelings about these Paris Olympics, you know, compared to previous Olympics that you've watched? Louis?
Everything was a total mess from the very get-go.
Oh, my goodness.
And it does remind me of what we had in Rio
2016.
2016. I'm going to speak for the Paralympians. They had very poor accommodation, and I think at some point they were stranded in Rio, and even getting the transportation coming back was a problem. And by the time they even arrived back home, they were not giving the stipends on time. Some of them did not even receive the stipends at all, and they almost gave.
By the way, Rio walishigeto. They were actually moved from the village wakapelekwa kwa favela.
Exactly.
All right, Louis.
And so in 2020 is when we had, I think, if you remember, Asiye Mohammed Sururu. That's now when she became popular with the rowing of the boat. She's also Paralympian. I think she lost both of her feet or something, and she's being supported by her family. Her auntie is the one who was taking care of her, and then her family is there. They're the ones who came together actually to fund for her going to Tokyo. Nobody cared about the Paralympians at that moment in time. The government did not really care much about them even getting their kids was a problem. But she happened to actually perform very well in 2020. So there was a legal battle that was going on for the last couple of years. And this year, as we're talking actually just this month, or is it this week, Safaricom have stepped in. And they're sponsoring the whole entire Paralympian Kenyan team that are in Paris right now. They are not only just giving them money and supporting them with their transportation, funding for their accommodation and all that, they're also even giving them financial literacy, and plus offering them stipends when they go back home so that they can actually be able to survive and continue participating in the sport of their choice. Now, that's an agreement between SAFCOM and the Paralympian Committee of Athletics in Kenya, which is kind of a good gesture. So I did want to paint the government body in a very bad way that maybe Kenya is not really bothered about these fellows. We have sponsors that are willing to help at their capacity, but you know, there's some roadblocks here and there, of which they're all government kind of related. You know, corruption here and there from left, right, and center. There's somehow, some way, someone that wants to benefit from that opportunity. that has been the problem now that has actually also curtailed the other Olympians that we're already having over in Paris. So, for example, let me take a look at, or rather, let me try and bring this up when we talk about the Olympic trials. I don't know if any one of you guys are aware that majority of the men teams that went there did not actually go through national trials before they got selected into the Olympics.
What do you mean? Are you talking about the Kenya team, or are you talking about just overall people who went to the Olympics?
No, not overall, some of the teams. The 5,000 and 10,000 meter men did their trials in Prefontaine, Eugene, Oregon.
Okay, okay.
They didn't do it in Kenya.
So
They did
how?
not do it where they are used to their home turf, the humidity and the climate and the home ground, whereby they can be able to go ahead and actually perform well. They did
So
not do it that way. They had to actually pay for themselves to go to Eugene. Remember, you are trying to go and represent the country. You have to pay for yourself to go there. The country will not even care about you. If you recall, the 10,000 meter race in Eugene, Oregon last year, was it last year or early this year, it had, I think, 12 Kenyans. And they're only selecting the top 3. All those other guys have to pay for themselves. How would you treat somebody that way and they have talent?
So I mean, this is very, very confusing, and this is actually very explosive, I would say, for the average person, you know, because I had no idea that Kenya was conducting trials in another country. So basically, the athletes would know, like, if you want to be part of the
Qualify.
Olympic team, you have to find your way to the Prefontaine Classic, and the government is not paying for you. You have to figure out how to pay for yourself to get there.
Yep. So you have to enter yourself into the Diamond League. Remember,
Okay.
the Diamond League is not funded by the government. Okay. The government will only pay for you at the Olympics, Commonwealth, and African Championships.
So if
The
you sign up,
rest, you're
yeah.
all by yourself. And
Yeah.
before you actually get to qualify time that you can present to go for this kind of trials,
Yeah.
you also have to show that I have ran here, I have ran there, I have ran here. So that's why you're finding people like Kipchoge. He didn't have to do anything. All the marathon runners did not have to do a marathon running trial. It's because they run all year round. They're running in these big city races. And with those big city races, their times are all out there and they're accredited and they're ratified. And so for the trials, there is no point for a trial. They just had to use, what do you call this? Like a wild, how can I call it? Like just like a bucket. And they said, okay, fine. I think so-and-so has very good numbers. I think Kipchoge definitely is a champ. They had a problem trying to get somebody else. When they got in Mutiso in, remember, we have Kamuro, who is also very, very good. Remember, we have, I think, 2 other runners. There's one that won Boston and the one that won
Evans
Chicago.
Chebet. Evans
Yeah,
Chebet.
Chebet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was Evans Chebet. He did Boston. How they ended up with Benson Kipruto, who lost terribly the last 2 marathons that he ran. We don't know how he ended up there. Nobody really understands. And I had a debate with that a while back, but I didn't understand the concept behind it and how they did that. The 10,000 meter runners, 12 of them scrambled to find the position to come over to Eugene, Oregon, in order for them to do the trials. But apparently, only 3 were able to do so. On their way back, some of them were stranded. They had to pay for themselves. Some of those guys don't even have meals. I was funding one athlete in Eugene, so I know this.
Louis.
pretty well.
This right here, I mean, I hope this information is gonna get to Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen, because this is very problematic. So you're saying those three athletes, the ones who made it to Eugene, were the only ones who were eligible?
No. 12 athletes came to Eugene.
Oh, 12
and
came to
only
Eugene.
3 were chosen.
Yeah, 3
Only 3 were
selected.
chosen out of the 12.
Yes.
Now let me ask
Yeah.
a question. Now these 12 who were able to make their way to Eugene, were they the 12 best, or were they just the 12 who were able to pay their way to Eugene?
There were
The
12
ones
that
who
had
are
money.
able to pay and they believe that they have participated in probably other areas where they feel that they can be able to make the Olympic time.
So what you're saying is that maybe there might have been others who are able to make the Olympic time, but they could not afford to present
correct.
themselves in Eugene.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility that the contingent that we sent out to the Olympics is not necessarily the best that we have to offer, but it was the best that was able to present itself for the qualifications.
Well, that is correct. Look at the lady, what's her name? Susan Ejoro. She goes to school in Eugene, Oregon.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's representing Kenya. She was right there. She was able to actually show her time at showcase because she was available.
Okay.
Yet we have other runners that can be able to smash those times. Look at how she got beat. She literally, I think, she came number 4, number 5. Then the last heat, I think she did really poorly. Yet we have somebody back at home, the courage, who can be able to smash that very easily. Her best time is even better than Ejoro's.
Oh, okay, Louis. This is more problematic than I thought it was.
But those are things that I guess Athletics Kenya or our whatever is it our Olympic committee and stuff like that, they need to they should be, because they have 4 years to do due diligence and get this right. And it's not like they don't know about these athletes. They know about those athletes. Those athletes are in Kenya. They're local. So it doesn't take a lot. And Louis is right. Why? To me, for one, I don't know why folks are being told to go to Eugene to do trials for Kenya Olympics team. It does not make sense.
When I tell you to go to Eugene to do trials for the Olympics teams, is because I know that you can go to Eugene.
Oh, so
The reason why it's you specifically are going to Eugene.
And so the excuse that was coming out from Mr. Kimeu, I think is the one who is the head of something Athletics Kenya, some department. He said that Eugene has a high altitude and that the individuals up there, with the high mileage and high altitude training from Kenya, we can be able to gauge them better. It made no sense at all. The reason why is because it beats that whole analogy. Majority of some of the fellows that could perform very well at Eugene, many of them come to Kenya or probably Ethiopia, but majority of them come to Kenya. This retired marathoner from England, he's from Somalia, but he used to run for England.
Mo Farah
would spend most of his time in Etam, literally training, and he became a champion training over in Etam. And so you ask yourself, what do these people actually come to do back at home? Well, these fellows, they come at home to study what we do. They experience what we're doing. They come and realize that it's not so difficult than them going over to the high altitude areas like Albuquerque, somewhere in New Mexico. They could go over to Flagstaff, probably Arizona or Utah, and do the training. That's where Helen Obiri is. She's up in Colorado. It's a high altitude area. But why is it that our own Kenyan people back at home can still not be able to simulate the same? Is because these other fellows, they come, they see what we're doing, and then they add more to it, technology and science. Okay? And so that is actually what makes them get beat. So my argument was with Mr. Kimeu saying that, oh no, these guys, let them go over to Eugene. It's a high altitude competition and it's a high caliber competition. So whoever wins is going to be good enough for the Olympics.
Engineering and corruption.
Yeah, but look at it this way. So we have fellows in Kenya who are really good. We have a lot of good athletes in Kenya, but there are those ones who have not been exposed to go run outside, like maybe Ebenyo, who already was lucky enough to be spotted. He was scouted. He gets a chance to go outside and compete in a few other races. That's why he's been very popular. But there's somebody who is back at home. All he does is train so hard, nothing else but just to make it to the Olympics. The Olympics in Kenya doesn't pay. Yavi gets about 70 million Kenyan shillings, 65.7 million Kenyan shillings, just for appearance.
From Bahrain.
They'll sing for you at the airport, and then you come back home. But what are they really looking for? These guys are looking for sponsorship and for scouts to actually get them out there. So when this person gets to run well at the Olympic trial, they'll pick them up. But they'll forget that we have someone who has had a track record like Ebenyo. Ebenyo smashed him and Sawe. They ran the half marathon. I think it was in which country? I don't not remember, somewhere in Northern Europe, early this year. And they did really, really good. But just because Ebenyo tripped and he fell, he was not picked. They picked somebody who has done nothing but training literally the whole entire 2, 3, 4 years to make it over to the Olympics. The way they got to choose these fellows to represent the Olympics was disastrous. The names that I saw out there for the Olympics are not the names that I've been seeing for the last 4 years.
Wow, I mean, this is very sad. You know, one thing I used to think about track, you know, because it's straightforward. You know, like when it comes to picking someone to do this job, that job, you know, unaweza kudanganya, you know, Ali is better qualified in IT than Lui, so mpatia Ali job, you know. But you know, like when it comes to track, it's a track. It's whoever finishes fast. You know, it's whoever who has the better times. You know, like it is very straightforward. You know, like ata ball unaweza sema maybe tunaweza kupendelea huyu over huyu. Ata kamba, but with track it's so straightforward. But now with what Louis is telling us, this is a very sophisticated type of corruption that's being done to disenfranchise people who've been posting better times. And then we're here wondering, you know, like how come Kenya is not performing as well, not knowing that there's all these shenanigans that's happening undercover. But Louis, real quick, before we go to the other point, to Mika, to the other parts of the Olympics as we wrap up, what is in it for the people who are crafting these corrupt systems? Because I'm trying to think, what do you have to benefit if you're like the gentleman you mentioned, I don't even remember his name, or if you're Athletics Kenya, what does it benefit you to put across athletes that are not necessarily the best, or disenfranchise them and tell them, oh, your trials are going to be in Eugene, Oregon? How do I benefit? If I'm Athletics Kenya, you know, how am I benefiting out of that? I'm trying to understand that part, Louis.
This is coming from the public domain, so I don't want to be quoted for it, but it is nothing short of cartels that are making money out of this, and nothing more.
So how are they making money? Is it that those athletes are paying them on the side in order to be able to qualify for the Olympics?
Well, yeah, and definitely also some of them even get allowed to pass with some little mistakes here and there. Those ones that do not get to show up for out of competition testing, you know, and which is meant to be, I think, governed when they're out of competition. I think it's Athletics Kenya that are supposed to be looking into that. I'm not very sure, so I don't want to be quoted again one more time.
Yeah.
But the result they call the Athlete Biological Passport Program.
Yeah.
And Kenya has not been doing very well when it comes over to that. What that Athlete Biological Passport does is they look at abnormal blood changes, and you have to be tested every so often. Okay, and these particular tests have to be done with the guidance of Athletics Kenya, and that person has to be, I think, licensed by World Athletics, if I'm not wrong. We have a lot of athletes that do not even really care. That's the reason why, like right now as they're speaking, a little bit just around after athletics, the Olympics, we have about 44 cases of out of competition doping cases right now in Kenya. You must have heard President Ruto talking about this the other day when he went over to Kelvin Kitum's funeral. He literally said doping is a problem. We need to go ahead and figure it out. Actually, it was Paul Tergat from Macron who was saying it in front of President Ruto that doping is a problem and we really need to go ahead and fix it. But it is a cartel, just like the water cartels in Kenya. Just the same way that we're also having cartels with police recruitment and KDF recruitment in Kenya. Somebody pockets some money to try and squeeze you through. And that's the reason why you also find like Yavi, who was like my little favorite little girl, she felt like it was very difficult for her to be able to make it into the competitions, like the senior team, and she left.
Wow. Now, what benefit, because I'm trying to understand, you know, like the science and the math of this. If I'm an athlete and I know, you know, like I probably, my time, you know, I know there's so many other athletes who are better than me. And I know if I go to the Olympics, I know I'm not going to hit the gold. Maybe I might not even make it to the finals. What benefit do I have of paying someone in Athletics Kenya to squeeze me through to the Olympics? What's in it for me if I know my time
just
is
the
not...
name an Olympian is really huge.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we always have the good and the bad, or rather we have those ones that made it and those ones that did not make it. It happens. We have some Olympians around, even here in the United States, that are really living in conditions that are not very good. Some of them are in squalor, probably. I think there is one lady, she was very, very good in pole vaults. And right now she's living in a one-bedroom apartment somewhere in New York. I was hearing her story 2 days ago, which is kind of sad. There's another one, I think she works at a pizza store. There's another who's a mechanic. So, you know, there's always good and bad. But the moment your name is an Olympian and you know how to maximize on it, you will get invited to very many other invites. You don't have to bring yourself. For instance, now you can, you know, just tell them, hey, tell your coach or your manager, I would like to go to the Peachtree race in Atlanta. And you know that the prize money might be somewhere close to $10,000 if you win. You know the Peachtree Road race is not going to be having like the high
hard hitters, yeah.
Yeah. And you made it to the Olympics. Your name was in the Olympics. So on the Atlanta General Constitution, your name will be ringing all over the place. Oh, former Olympian, to also bring in more money to the Peachtree Road race. And by the time you come in, just appearance alone, they'll give you something small. When you happen to actually win because the heavy hitters are not there, you get something small. Next minute, you show up at some race in Mexico, you make some money as well. Just because you have that name, Olympian, it's nothing to play around with. That Olympian name is huge. And so it's like it opens doors for you. And it's up to you now to go ahead and maximize on it on appearance fees.
Wow. Uno Mike.
And also endorsement deals. You get good endorsement deals.
And endorsement deals. Uno Mike. Easy V2. Like
Ali, you could have been an Olympian. Had I known been the type of person ya kutoa do.
But that's a problem. Mi nikishatoa hiyo do, nimekuwa Olympian, nimeenda huko nikachapwa. And then some problem.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't
okay,
matter.
Sasa problem nikinata Peachtree race bado huko pia nitachapa.
It doesn't matter, you're still an Olympian.
You're still an Olympian.
Bado utaendelea, you still utaendelea kuitwa na kualikwa.
You see the current 100 the former, not the current, former 100 meter
Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
After the Olympics, he became a millionaire, and I think he didn't race for nearly, was it 2 years, Louis? 2 or 3 years?
He has not raced for 3 years because of injuries, but
Yeah,
for just appearances only.
Yeah.
And funny enough, actually, Mika, I was listening to a session today on TV on the Olympic channel. Somebody said that does he still have some more life in him? Do you think he's going to be able to do well? It was actually Bailey who was talking about him.
Wow.
And the person who was being interviewed said that appearance fees, he's still going to make lots of millions.
And
he
with
might as well quit running.
Yeah, and with his performance in this past race, he has shown that the spark, you know, that the ones that they thought that was gone or he didn't have, he showed it. Because if you look at the field, he was number 4. If you look at that field.
Yeah,
I mean, the difference between number 4 and number 3 and number 2.
It was inches. It was very small.
If a guy just hesitated, that's the other guy was number 1.
If you just breathe,
he's still marketable right now because
in fact he's the
can
comeback
give him
kid.
Like another 2 years of running. Yeah. So he still has that. He still has that marketability, especially in the Italian market and everything. So he's good. So the thing is, just as Louis said, that title Olympian alone, that title Olympian is what, like, and in most countries they don't pay Olympians that much. It's just the endorsements that you get after winning that Olympic gold.
Yeah, and then hapa Slayer na Brown Chugo nasema Uno Mike leo umekuwa mpenzi mtazamaji.
Wow.
I've been listening to Louis. I mean,
Wow.
and a lot has been, has been running through my mind because this reminds me of like the pay to play system here set up like for soccer.
Soccer,
It's pay to play.
It's pay to play.
You know, so you're getting the best of the best of who
can pay,
who can
money.
who has money.
Yes.
Yeah.
right? We had this discussion with Akina Lawrence, Olum, you know, remember, and even Hillary, like, we don't nurture talent. We don't. Mtu anafika high school, you're being introduced to rugby. I mean, if it's not even being introduced at a young age, so you're
already
coming high
in
school,
late.
it's coming in late.
You're already late.
Soccer, we've been playing soccer, tunaamka tunaenda nacheza ball.
Yeah.
Tunajua mazee ule msee ni mnoma, ile rounder iko na msee noma. We know that kwanza umsee. So even if you're, let's say, playing rounder versus rounder, unaenda mazee lazima tuchukue Ali leo.
Able to play in rounder, Ali doesn't.
Msee wa Nairobi West.
Come on, son.
Anyway, you can explain.
Ali anajua rounder.
Na rounder si rounders. Si le game ya rounders.
Just actually add one thing on that. There's this young girl, her name is, I think, Mary Chapniano. She was in class 7 or class 8. Last year, she ran barefoot in Wasinkishu, and she won the 3,000 meters steeplechase. It actually won in really good time, barefoot, a very young little girl. So I think the area MP or politician came to congratulate her, bought her a pair of shoes, offered to pay for her school fees, and bought her parents some food and some nice little presents, and walked away. That kid was left back at home with no one bothered to pick her up and go nurture that talent that is exceptionally, really, 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 really adorable, you know? So picking up on young talent, I'm a soccer fan as well. I knew Theo Wilcott when that kid was barely 10 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
That's the problem that we're also having with Kenya as well.
We let, remember Olum said, by the time, like, you're getting to 16, unasahaulika.
By the way, 16 when I'm
talking about soccer.
Yeah.
Like even soccer. So when you're getting 14, 15, like maybe you'll just do high school up and apale, whatever.
Yeah.
And see, that's how Nani was discovered. Is it not McDonald? Nani? Oliech.
Yeah.
High school, walikuwa huko shule gani? I think walikuwa shule moja.
Oliech went to multiple schools.
Yeah.
Oliech was his brother in Kakamega High.
Yeah. You see, when you look at most rugby players, most guys who like, so in the rugby fraternity, rugby world, you find a guy is playing for high school, but anachezea main machine.
Anachezea
club.
Yeah.
You know, so
analipwa ni mchezaji wa
getting paid or what not, you know, I don't know, but you see okay, so there's a form of trying to nurture talent, but I don't know, it's like it's always, and then in addition to that, you have again the corruption, the cartels, you know, it's a money making scheme. You know, like you remember those guys who were raided because they had, I can't remember. The guy was raided because he had Olympic career jerseys, shorts, whatever.
No, that was you're talking about my former swimming teacher, Mr. Ekumbo.
Was it Ekumbo?
Yeah.
He was raided.
Yes, it was Mr. Ekumbo.
You know,
it was Ali's teacher.
You have, that was my former swimming teacher.
You have 10 athletes.
Yeah.
But you've got 500. The contingent is 500, but out of the 500, 10 are the ones who are going to run.
Yeah.
Wote wanafanya nini?
Na kitu wamepatiwa moja, zingine zimekuwa kando.
Ama zingine maybe zimetolewa another site, I won't call it out, but not is on, you know. So it's a lot, and then we're getting an insight into how athletics is. Tumepewa rugby. Soccer, we can see. Now athletics, it's like we're just seeing, like, okay, what's going on. But now with the insights, with Louis, insights, you sort of start to understand, like, okay, we didn't have the best. What happened? Because even the qualifying and how the runners themselves, at unaambiwa because umefika hapa, qualify, and the only way you figure there is because you've got chums.
It's because you have money.
Because you've got
money.
Because
now when Louis was talking about a university student, someone who's a student in an American university,
right.
I'm thinking in Kenya, by the time you're an athlete in an American university, that means like you've not been able to make the cut on on because Kenya is very competitive.
Right.
So I get very I get very surprised. Now on the women's marathon, they're gonna be running. I think it's on Sunday. I was very surprised
It's the last
initially.
event.
It's a last event. I was very surprised initially that Sharon Lokedi was missing until she was brought back because she'd been performing very well. But now I think with
Sharon was a wildcat, and they had put in Bridget Kosgei.
Yeah.
But apparently, she has an injury that has been bothering her for the last 3 years. So Bridget Kosgei pulled out, and that's now when Sharon Lokedi
yeah,
was picked.
was picked. Yeah. So I can understand the complication with the marathon part, because a marathon is not something that you can just hold a trial for. Like a marathon is like a boxing fight. You only can do a certain number
Yes.
within a year. So I can understand that part. But why we don't have 10,000 meter and 5,000 meters trials back home in Kenya, that is or rather 10,000 meters, why we don't have those in Kenya, that is just
You remember?
mind-blowing.
I think when Louis was the last time we were talking about, we were doing a show, thinking about Kiptum and even discussing like athletics, and he was giving his predictions and how we were finding it hard. Like, okay, who are we going to select if you're going to run a marathon? You're like, okay, so we've got Kiptum and Eliud.
We had Eliud.
One more slot.
Yeah,
and we're
there's
like,
only one
okay,
more
because
slot,
we're looking
yeah.
for the best, somebody who we know this, that, the other, right?
And there's multiple.
There are multiple
people
guys waiting.
who won a couple of
Yes.
this major marathon.
Yeah, so we're like, okay, how are we going to try and size up and get the best of the best? But now from what we're being told, sometimes it's not the best of the best, it's the best of the best of who have money.
Who have money.
And
Yeah.
that can explain why the type of performance, because for the longest time, when you hear 800, who did you think of? Ngugi.
Yes.
Unajua hii Kombosho.
Yeah.
Then after Ngugi, who replaced him? Rudisha. You're like, this one, yeah.
And the record is his, by the
Yeah.
way.
David Rudisha, Ngugi, even 1500, 3000, tunajua, hii ni yetu. We are not even concerned,
Yeah.
right? For a while. But then, again, I think the chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah. Upper Slay is asking, how can Kenya change this? That's a complicated question that needs an episode of its own.
Not even that, because the question would be, because another
it's a
question
whole
would be, like, okay, who does the buck stop with? Like, okay, who can we say, like, where?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah. Who does a backstop with? That's a good question.
Who can be Salimiwa?
The backstop with the Ministry of Sports, na boss wake, and then it trickles down to everybody else. At the end of the day, it needs the whole system to be in a smooth flowing process. Like the corruption needs to be cleared out throughout. Like the Ministry of Sports needs to ensure it holds the federations accountable. The federations now, they themselves need to ensure that they handle everybody else that comes in between. IOC, Olympic Association of Kenya, and all these other things that are under Athletics Kenya, all these bodies under Athletics Kenya, are also held accountable. So, and it goes down up the grassroots level, back to where it comes down to where you're teaching your son how to run. It's simple as that.
Yeah, and then like Slay is also asking, man, hizi ma questions are Slays na kuja late sasa, and these are full episode questions. How and when did this cartel start? Out of curiosity, they have become
Well,
problematic.
corruption started in Kenya.
So easy up,
They've been around.
They've been around, and they've been
They're so refined. Now they're so refined. It's become
it's like a well-oiled machine.
Yes, it's second nature. These guys know exactly what to do. It's back to what Chief Louis was talking about with the police recruitment. Sijui nini, forest rangers, nini lipa kitu kidogo ndio mtu aingishwe. Those fees, by the way, I've even been called and asked, a boss, there's an opportunity that has shown up. Kuna recruitment ya polisi na kuja naingia hapa, lakini they need 300k.
Yeah.
For the application.
And then,
I'm like,
Yeah.
300k for the application?
People pay for these positions. And then Apa Brownchuga Nasema, it's the same way with soccer training. Camps here, which are now for profits, and basketball with the now AAU tournaments, which are currently affecting the development of basketball. So America is also seeing this to a certain extent. The only good thing with America is that there are so many other entities besides these government ones that develop sports.
Correct.
So at least, you know, like even despite this corruption and nini, there's still so many other entities, you know, like high schools are very good, you know, like sporting facilities.
Oh yeah, like when you look at like Texas, see football, you know, American football in Texas is like, it's like what do you call it? It's like,
yeah,
it is huge.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like a league. It's like a proper
It's a league of its own.
Yeah,
And-
it has a lot of viewership. It has a very high viewership.
And here's the thing, you know, I think for like basketball and for American football, I believe that what you see, the product that you see, you're getting really truly the best of the best.
Yeah.
Because you know there's the you know, like the vetting, the scouting, like these guys put in work. Even the product that you see playing on an American football field,
Yeah.
you're literally
They
seeing the
start
best of
from
the best.
Pee-wee, man. Those
Yeah.
guys start from Pee-wee. Have you seen those kids playing in Pee-wee?
Soccer, you have to have money.
Yeah, it's a big deal. How I knew, you know, like sports is on another level when I first came to the US before I was aware. When I went to Montgomery College, right here in Maryland, I asked around, you know, like where do guys play basketball? Because at that point, I was feeling like, you know,
You
like
had skills.
I felt
You
like
could hoop.
I felt like I still had an opportunity of making it to the NBA. So I asked around where people play basketball, and then I was shown. So I went and played there. You know, guys who are very good. So when playing, I played for a week or two. Then I came to find out that there's another place where the actual, and these guys were good, you know, like they were cooking me. But I was like, they improved too bad. Bado mean mgeni US. But then I came to learn that there's another place where the actual team now trains. These guys who are playing over here, these are just random guys.
It's pick up.
Yeah, it's pick up
basketball.
That's when I knew it's over.
Your dreams were over.
Yes,
And-
that's
and
when
they
I
were-
knew it was crashed.
And they were not real.
Yeah, and those guys were not real. Those are guys who had jobs, you know, like mtu
Correct.
anatoka and
Yeah.
anafanya job.
They're
you know.
weekend only athletes.
Yes. the
Yes,
weekend
that's
only.
when I knew, holy shit, you know, like Harper.
And that is just Montgomery.
That was
County.
Montgomery College. It's not even.
Peke yake.
It's nowhere even in
haven't-
the pecking order.
You haven't gone to Gaithersburg. You haven't gone to Korea, because not even that. You find that here's another thing. There's so many facilities. There's so many courts.
Yeah,
You know, even just within the county,
yeah,
that it's you don't struggle, right? You know, there's so many facilities.
yeah.
What are we lacking in Kenya? Facilities. We don't.
Okay.
Do we have? We don't. So
we don't,
that's an
yeah.
issue.
Yeah, let's give a chance to Louis here so that we can let him go. And then tutaenda kwa Mika. These are the issues that were happening in the Olympics. There was a controversy over, you know, a lady boxer who people were claiming that
That was the
that she was a man. She's actually won the gold medal. I just learned today that she actually won the
Yes.
gold medal.
Yes.
She did.
Then there was the controversy of Jamaicans withdrawing from different track races. And then there was the Noah Lyles 200 meters. So I'm going to start with you, Louis, and then we're going to go to Mika as we get to wrap up the show. Louis.
All right. So this is just to wrap up, I guess.
Yeah, we are wrapping up now. You know, tunajua
Yeah,
tunakuweka beyond the
I
agreed
think
time.
if we had a longer session, probably would have spoken about quite a lot. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we had to pay attention to, transport facilities and accommodation for our sporting athletes, giving them an opportunity for acclimatization. There is no way you can get a sportsman to come to a foreign country 3 or 4 days prior, where the weather is difficult or maybe different from wherever they come from, and expect them to perform at par. You know, we have countries like the United States here, where we had Gabi and her team. They were spending almost 2 to 3 months in Europe, in France and the UK, competing with their friends whom they're going to compete with in the Olympics, and also acclimatizing from the kind of different weather patterns of which they get to experience in the different regions that they come from. So, you know, it's Mary Morale was there, I think, a week before her competitions, and she finished. She's back. She's already back at home, and nobody really cares about that. There's a lot of stuff that actually really matters, that goes deep down to the contribution of the tour performance. But again, I'm glad and humbled to be part of this conversation. I'm hoping that it might reach a few people of interest. And just looking forward to some changes being made. A lot was made after the outcry in the Rio 2016, and there was some improvement in 2020. I think that's when we had quite a number of medals, if I'm not wrong. 2024 just collapsed for some reason, and we really are all not very happy about that. We're hoping that 2028 is going to be better, and we're praying for good results. And let's keep on supporting our teams. Let's keep on supporting our athletes. I have seen quite some negativity that comes out of our own communities where, you know, when you perform well, everybody will be cheering you up. And then when you do not perform up to par as they expected, nobody wants to hear about you, or they have all these negative comments all over the place. That's kind of like a little bit demeaning, you know, to this fellow that spent years and months of hard work, and probably they even have other jobs just to compensate their daily livelihood. That should be a habit and an attitude that we need to go ahead and put to the code. All in
Okay.
all, thank you so much, guys.
Okay, but Louis, just give us a moment. We're gonna give you the last word. I wanna go to Mika first to talk about these other Olympic issues: the boxing controversy, the Jamaican withdrawals, and Noah Lyles with the COVID. Mika, twende kazi, and then we're gonna give Louis the last word.
Vizuri tuongele dakika saba. Anyway, uh, we're going to start with boxing, and it is that this is something that I was actually very looking forward to. What about Iman Khalif won the Olympic gold medal for the 66 kg category. This is after a lot of disgusting and horrible things were said about her. And also remember there was another boxer. This is Lin Yu Ting, who was also subjected to most of this controversy, but most of the controversy went to Iman Khalif, and especially after we had an Italian boxer who decided to just quit a fight and pretending that she was hit by a man. Now, what really was disgusting about this is that Iman Khalif was born a woman, and she is one of those women who, how can I say? I don't want to use the word intersex because they do use the word intersex, but it's usually you're a woman, you have women biological, a woman biological reproductive system, but the fact that by some anomaly you produce more testosterone than what is considered normal for women, and that doesn't make you a man. It's just the same way we have men who have more estrogen than testosterone. That doesn't make them women. It's just men who have produced a lot of estrogen. And it's so sad when sports come in between a dream of so many of young girls who are born, especially with their bodies not reacting the way people expect a girl's body to react, and then now they have to be looked at like men and being called men, and even finding a professional boxer, finding a boxer refusing to fight them because they want to push an agenda. And all this is because of an international body, the IBA, which is a very corrupt body that is based out of Russia, that did some tests, and those tests, they never told people which test they did. They never shared the result of the test. They just said that these were men, and leading to this controversy. So for me, I would like both of them to win the gold medal. And this has led to actually the IOC saying that it's looking at kicking out boxing from the Olympics, because the way the IBA is handling this matter, and there's been a lot of controversy based on judging. A lot of teams feel like they were hard done, especially in the men's category, and we might be coming to a point whereby we see an Olympics without boxing. So I just want to send it back to you guys in the studio and tell me, what do you think about it? How would you feel if Olympics didn't have any boxing anymore?
That would be weird, considering now there's breakdancing. That would be very weird. An Olympics with breakdancing as a sport, but no boxing. That would be very problematic. I mean,
because
I
some of the best heavyweights ever,
Best boxers.
best boxers,
they started
through
in the
Olympics.
Olympics.
Well,
yeah.
went
They
through
went through
Olympics.
Olympics, yeah.
Foreman.
Dance went pro.
yeah.
A lot of them.
That
have
would be
come
strange,
from
'cause we
Yeah,
are-
even Holyfield through
'cause
Olympics.
all of them.
Because somebody was telling me, it's like, oh, breakdancing.
Sweet
I'm
Pea.
like, what do you mean
Remember
break
Sweet Pea?
Yeah,
Pranav
yeah,
Whitaker?
yeah.
Yeah, all those guys are
I let the
Olympians.
box ati break dancing. I'm like, huh? Alafu naangalia hapo bora hapo virtual study. I'm seeing guys are dancing.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
know that
Allah?
to me, that's why certain countries have a lot of gold medals, because now, how do you start training? We're already having problems, managing our track and field athletes. Then now we start managing break dancers to go to the Olympics.
But we have to qualify first.
Yeah.
So it
That's-
would be very strange not to see boxing, because I've always known it's a staple to be in the Olympics.
Yeah, but boxing is an Olympic sport.
Yes.
So I don't know, Mika. That would be problematic. Back to you.
Moving on, we're moving on to athletics, whereby this has been one of the Olympics whereby we have not seen one of the mainstay teams participating in the short races. That's the Jamaicans, both the men's and the females, and the male and the female fields. We had withdrawals, and we had complaints from Jamaican athletes. We start by Fraser Price Jackson withdrew from the key events in Paris. Remember, she withdrew. Price said at first she said she withdrew because she wasn't allowed into the warm-up area early on, which didn't allow her to warm up. And then later on, a statement was put out by the Jamaican Federation that she withdrew because of injury. Sharika Jackson also had withdrew from the 200 meter due to injury. She started off by withdrawing first from the 100 meters, then went to the 200 meters. These were athletes who had just ran a few months ago, and they were ready and raring for the Olympics. I don't see how, Louis, unless I'm wrong, I do not see how you would come to the games with an injury and then hope that you will recover by the time of the race. Do you think there's a federation which would allow you to carry nearly 3/4 of your teams injured, knowing that they're going to be able to, hoping that they'll be cured before the race? Will they even be race ready?
Well, Sharika Jackson suffered 2 injuries the beginning of the season. She had an ankle injury, I think, late last year. And then in preparation for the beginning of this season, with her new coach, who happens also to be, I think, no, her manager is the husband, reported that she also had, again, another torn something on her ankle as well. But she performed well in the Jamaican national trials, and that is what guaranteed her to make it over to the Olympics. So when she got over to the big stage, she felt that it was going to, the injury was going to be disturbed, and it would hinder her from participating towards the end of the season. So probably they had their own decisions to make. Now remember, the Olympics not paying you. She already has sponsors. She already has endorsements. How about she prepares for the remaining Diamond League meets? If I was her, I would do the same thing.
Okay, fair sense. But then what about the other Jamaican athletes who have actually come out and said that there have been poor preparation? There have been accusation of people saying that there's some athletes who have been paid. I don't really believe that. Yeah, I don't think you can pay an athlete a lot not to want to go and compete for the gold. But there have been accusations from some athletes saying that the Jamaicans were not did not prepare pretty well for this, and they're being faced by some of the issues that we were: lack of preparation, lack of facilities, lack of support and equipment. Do you feel that this might be one of the reasons why, even in the other fields, not even just athletics, we're seeing Jamaica not performing the way it's usually supposed to do?
Well, Jamaica are having the same issues like we are having in Kenya. The only difference is that the corruption is not as deep as ours. We had corruption cases with their women's soccer team. Remember, there's a time when they had to even do a GoFundMe in order for them to raise funds for them to go to the World Cup. And they complained that they're not going to play until they get paid first. I think they were paid by FIFA, and they demanded to be paid right at the stadium. Is it at the stadium or wherever the games were before they went back home because they're not going to get the money. So corruption is there. Facilities issues, yes, we understand, but for the short sprints and the races that we're having, we've had some of the Jamaican athletes, the great ones, changing coaches a bit often lately, and also they've been harbored by injuries. Elaine Thompson-Hera has had an injury for a whole year. That's why she did not even show up the whole of this season at all. For Sherika, we knew about her injury, and it's barred her twice already. Brianna Williams, she's kind of just like had a slow pace all of a sudden. Nobody really understands the cause behind it. She got beat several times in the trial. And we have the twins, the Clayton twins. Tia was able to make time. And so they're trying to also nurture and bring in the young ones into the senior level. Anything else why they might not be performing very well as such for this particular year? I'm not very sure, but I heard Usain Bolt mentioned somewhere else, and again, please don't quote me. It will be very difficult to get another male team like the Asafa Powell and Blake, or Johan Blake and him, and a few others that they put on the Jamaican jersey before. So I think the problem that they're having is bringing up the youth to take over, and Sherika might also be seen a way out. Elaine Thompson might be seen a way out, just the same way as Shelley Fraser-Price.
Okay,
Wow.
thank you, Louis. Omosha, Lee and Mike, mkona maoni before we close up the Olympic session.
No, here are Jamaicans. It's been a disappointment because there had been a build-up between a U.S.-Jamaican rivalry, which did not live up on both the men's and the women's side. I mean, of course, the men's have struggled since Bolt and Johan Blake came out of the picture, and then Asafa Powell, of course. It's like they're trying to build up another team. So it's been a disappointment because Jamaica has a lot of fans, especially in Kenya, especially of the female persuasion. But it's been interesting, and I'd like to know what direction Jamaica would take, and especially those ladies. I would really love to see them come back. It was very sad to see how Shelley Fraser went out because of the organization of the games and not allowing her in the stadium. And this is a sport of very short distances, very small margins. If you're not in the right mental mindset, if you just have to walk another 30 meters to get to another gate, that's probably gonna destabilize you
of course.
in the preparation. So I can understand why she had to pull out. Mike.
No, I was gonna say, okay, irrespective of injury or not, that part of them not being allowed into the stadium, such that apparently they had to walk a mile. They had to walk quite a distance.
30 minutes.
30 minutes or whatever it was, still needs to be investigated. Because, and then, from what she was saying that, the rules were changed the previous night, that night, but they were not informed. Right? So, again, those are some of the things that, you question, the authorities, the persons, the personnel, the people operating this thing, the people handling this thing, the decision making has been wanting. Mara wanajaribu kufanyia Faith Kipyegon madharau, then they reinstate, So yes, but the lack of the Jamaicans in the short distances.
Yeah, the absence has been felt.
My friend. Because for the women, it was so loud.
Yeah.
It was just not the same.
Okay.
Omosh.
The Jamaicans, I don't know. For me, I'm not disappointed. I think there's more to these stories of them pulling out and all the things that had been happening around, and maybe we'll never know because we're not inside their whole athletic body. But they are also going through a retooling where the
transition.
It's a transition. Yes, where the younger ones are coming in and the older ones were being given a chance to show up for Olympics. Alafu wakapata kumbe kuna wengine hapa who have medicine for them.
Yeah.
So they didn't feature in as much. And if you noticed, the team that was featuring quite a bit was Great Britain. Like all of a sudden, those again, descendants of the Caribbeans.
No,
Caribbean.
but then they were reclaiming. Remember, they were the problem for the US for a long time. Short distance.
Correct, but you're right. They're reclaiming. They're coming back. But what we had seen over the past was always US Jamaica, US Jamaica, US Jamaica.
True.
Right, and we can go back to at least I'd say like 3 to 4 Olympics. Now you see, Great Britain are coming out. You see other guys are there. And then, of course, with the population,
South African men,
China,
4x1.
Boss, South Africa,
4x1.
In fact, I wish Botswana had a full team of Letsiles.
4x1, yeah.
I wish they had a full team of Letsiles where guys were, on top of their game. So we are seeing a new transition. It's no longer the powerhouses that we have been used to seeing, right? And even them, they are threatened. So they're going to have to go back and retool. So for the next 4 years, I'm sure now they're looking and saying, hey, those Africans, we need to watch them. We need to come up with something. Na kuna vile wanaweza kuja kufuruga watu hapa, pengine wakuje wachukue wase waende wakimbie for them. You never know.
Wapatiwe brown envelope.
Of course.
Facilitation.
I mean, because the whole point is you're planning for the next 4 years. So what is your plan for the next 4 years, and who are these people that you're targeting that are going to be part of your staple for the next 4 years? Because next is Wilds. Then after Wilds, you go back to Nini.
Tebogo reminds me of Frankie Fredericks.
Yes.
Frankie Fredericks, Namibia.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's really sweet to see that happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Overall, Olympics, man, if Kenya can get...
Ngoja kwanza.
Go ahead.
Ngoja niki kenye nilikuwa kusema because hold up. So for me closing out the Olympic session, I was going to ask you, we spoke about the Olympic the whole show. We spoke about a part of the Olympic the previous show. We've spoken about the negative of the Olympics, what we didn't like. Now to close out the Olympic segment, what are some of the positive things that you've seen about this Olympic?
You're asking me or all of us?
Ooh,
all of you.
That's a tough question. Let me try to answer this from a polite
anything you enjoyed about the Olympics. Anything can you
No, I mean, the positive thing that I'd say, I mean, I saw a lot of black people representing so many other parts of the world.
I'm with you on that.
And I really loved it. I really loved it, and in the sense that that hata kama ni Italian, if they're black, we're gonna show them support, which shows Africa is not only the land that's blessed with natural resources and minerals, but I think when it comes to sporting talent, it's undoubtedly the best place on earth. Because think about it, the blacks in Europe, they're a minority, so it's a small minority, but they're beating the whole population.
They are the majority in the sports.
They are the majority in the sports.
Mm-hmm.
So so that to me, is one of those great things. I thought it was, an interesting idea to have the opening ceremony in a river on paper. It was a great idea, but the execution, sijui kama ilikuwa ni kwa sababu ya mvua, I just became so tacky. I was like, afadhali tu watu wangetembea tu stadium, ile opening ceremony ya kawaida.
Wind around.
Yeah, so it wasn't memorable to me. Like the way you see people walking and wearing those outfits. All those guys were wearing ponchos because it was raining. And it was
you
on a
missed
river.
out on the outfits.
Yeah, and then it was a boat passing by, so yeah, kuna vile tu it was just blah for me. Mike, I don't know. To me, I don't know. The positives were not too many.
For me, I would say, to be honest, okay, I'll go with your sentiment of the black folks, and then the other sentiment for me is it's something that comes around every 4 years. So I've enjoyed it thus far. It's filled up our time or my time to the point that when this is over, come Sunday, I'll be like, hala, what am I going to do now? So, because it's become part and parcel, and we've had sporting event after each other, back to back to back to back, and this then comes into it. The other part for me positive is the fans. The fans, man, and the home support.
That is very true.
Oh my God! And the fans.
I think this is the most attended Olympics.
Guys were there deep.
And I think it's also location where France is. The fact that I just think that they are looser with letting people in, because we didn't see this when there was Olympics in London. It wasn't as, and I don't know if it's because
London, China, Japan. Okay, Japan, COVID. Japan, COVID. Brazil,
correct.
the stadiums are never as full as this one.
No. But this one here, guys, people have been there. They've been cheering them on. And not so much that you're cheering on your countrymates. No, you're cheering on an Olympian. And so if it's somebody who is doing good, guess what? They're being cheered. Like, these guys are not holding back. So, unajua, especially when you look at things like long jump or Izo Zingine pole vaulting or whatever, where somebody says, okay, they are over there, clap, and the whole stadium is clapping. You had 70,000 people clapping for this person who's running down and then jumping. It just watching that, you're like, man, I need to be in this environment, And we started with rugby, like the Kenyans who got there when they were when rugby was on, and so seeing the progression, the fans for me actually have made this. The other part I think is the facilities, the stadium, and then having the coverage. The US coverage has normally been bad, simply bad.
It always is.
I must say that they have whatever it is that they're doing within Peacock and NBC Sports and whatever.
It's a mess.
For me, I think my experience is they have made it very interactive.
This was a very well covered event.
Correct.
You could get whatever
you want, even if it was tricycles. I don't know what. You just go, you move, and you check. You see live, boom. And if you're even looking at, because what I was trying to do was track it online, so see like what are the events for the day for track and field, and I look at it online. That thing was real time. Like whenever the race is over, boom, it's over. It tells you the time, who won, who didn't won, what the times are, blah, blah, which race is coming up next, and so you're not caught unawares, flat-footed. And the coverage has been really good. For the US, I gotta commend them because they have sucked over the years. At this one, whatever these guys had been doing the past events, they figured it out. And that whole interactiveness of it, man, it's been, for me, I've loved it. So, those are the positives that I'm seeing. And I can't wait for another Olympics. Whether it's coming stateside, I must say, I'm lucky to possibly be in the same country, having Olympics in the same country. Meaning, I've been in this country for World Cup, Olympics, sasa Olympics ingine nakam. Wow, it's an honor that I had. I got the chance of attending World Cup and Olympics here.
So World Cup ilikuwa 94.
Yes, I did that.
Na games are 68.
Izo
84.
And now we have one that's coming. That granted, it's gonna be up at LA. It's just awesome to see that this thing has gone around and come back. It's going back to LA since '84, which is really it's really weird because '84. See that was Carl Lewis. I mean,
hizo eras,
LA
Coliseum.
LA. Yeah, I'm like.
Yeah, I think for me I'll echo your sentiments. Like seeing Blake's representing European countries that for the longest time
Makaburu
walai, and then some beautifully fine mamas over there representing like Germany, Italy. You're like,
that Germany one, I was like, okay, she's German, like she's.
And also for me, I think what has been nice has been the absence.
What about the Irish? What about the Irish one?
Irish, yes.
The Nigerian Irish, the one who's running for them.
Yeah, there was an Irish who was running for
Which
Nigeria.
race was that?
No, there's a Nigerian who's Irish.
A Nigerian who's Irish. Okay,
you're nearly harder.
Yeah.
But for me, I can say the upsets, where we're looking at, it's not longer the same. So like now volleyball, it's no longer the US and Italy handling. You find wamechujo because they're like being superpowers.
Yeah.
Like the 4x1. I was telling you the 4x1. The US lost.
And they didn't realize that 4x1, that those Nyangaos have not cooler that thing in 20 years.
Who? The US.
US.
For 4x1?
And
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The
20.
Wow.
20.
You see,
Yeah,
the
that's
Jamaicans
a
are the
tough
ones who-
race.
the
The Jamaicans
Jamaicans
are
and
the ones
the
who've been
Greeks are the-
dominating it.
Yeah, well, yeah, the
Because
Jamaicans have been
they've
dominating
been
for a minute.
dropping. I don't know. They were disqualified.
This
I
one-
don't know. Nini.
This one was the handoff. This guy
Yeah.
But
overran, he overshot.
It's,
so it
the
has been
sa- it's the
something.
same. It's the same
You know,
script. Same
yeah.
script. See,
Yeah.
even Nani Kalous was pissed.
So I mean, it's all in all. I think, you know, I mean, there's some people who hate the French, you know, apart from other things. But you know, Mika told us to look at something good. So that is something positive, I think.
Okay, Mika, wrap it up for us.
Now, I want Louis to tell us what is so positive about this in Nini.
He saw his body on Manyala run.
Me being a competitive person myself, and a sporty person as well, what I saw positive in this Olympics was an awakening call for Kenya. This is a time for us guys to go back to the drawing board and realize that it's not business as usual. We cannot continue being comfortable. Other countries are also watching us clearly, and they're doing whatever they
catching
can
up.
be able to do to come and beat us. And yes, they have literally shown us best. So this is a time for Barnaba Korir and Choge Keino to go back to the drawing board and figure it out. Otherwise, we would have been sitting nice and comfy and be forgotten like Morocco and Algeria in athletics.
That is so interesting you mentioned that, because
That
at
is
the
very
time
true.
Morocco and Algeria were quite
Quite.
powerhouses. You know, Hisham El Gerouj.
Even Ethiopia. I realize
yeah.
Ethiopia is fading.
Ethiopia is fading too.
That is
fading very
yeah,
badly.
Ethiopia is fading too. That's why they're trying to elbow out Faith Kipyegon, because they know that they're fading. We've been owning them, you know, like the last couple of years, especially in the marathons. We've been owning them like dollar bills. Washeke Shays, Washeke says, Washeke,
Say it slowly.
Washeke says she's on the phone.
This can tie you.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and I don't know why Washeke unangoja mpaka saa zile unaona
Yeah.
ndio hiyo time.
Before Mjiko Asheke,
Yeah.
let me finish up with my positive, and then we'll go to Asheke, then you can wrap up the show.
Yeah.
So for me, my positives for this Olympics, number one, Snoop Dogg. Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
There's a way. No. For me, no. Let me tell you why. Snoop, right? There's a way whereby he brought in a viewership that normally will not be part of it, and also the way that he from a marketing perspective and from a growth perspective of sports and everything, he brought in a demographic that usually would not have been looked at. And also another thing is that he brought out also the selling. Remember, LA is hosting the next Olympics, right? Him being there, him doing all the things he's doing is basically like a handover, selling LA
passing
already
the
to the
torch.
world.
Okay,
On how it's
fair
going.
enough.
Remember, hizi Olympics kwa kujiuza pia. It's not
Correct.
about Stuart we are hosting and inaishi hapo. As much as you're hosting, you're also selling and you're marketing yourself. Number two for me was the fact that we can clean the environment. If the Seine River was cleaned twice to allow it to be swum on, it means that we can fix this environment. We can reverse pollution.
Nairobi River.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, that is something that people should look at as a positive from that we can actually clean up the environment that we live in. Number three for me was the number of new medalists. It was a dawn of a new change. People were being put on check. People were being shown that there's a new generation that's coming up. And what does that prove? There's a continuity in the sports. The last Olympics actually was showing zilikuwa zimesell vibaya, and even the performances. Like, these Olympics, we've had somebody break five world records 5 times. Every
Correct.
time Akira hit and a break world record, next and a break world record, next and a break world record. we've had records broken on this Olympic in such a way that like, we've had very young medalists that have come up, and you look at it and like, damn, there is a future in these sports that are coming in. So for me, that was good. And then another thing, as you said, that black demographic that's representing other countries. But me also another thing, and the main thing for me is the number of new countries that have won medals in this Olympics.
St. Lucia.
Yeah, that's been a positive
Man.
for me.
Botswana.
Nilisikia uchungu Shakari akishindwa, lakini pia mwenye alimshinda deserve it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, and she didn't look bad either.
Absolutely not.
Supulicious. Huyu alitoka Nduki.
But also her
just
country
saying.
deserved it.
Yeah.
Yes, they had never won.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the 200, but at least she got a silver.
Yeah. I mean,
That for me, that was a positive for me. That
kabisa.
was,
that was a big positive. Aya, sasa washeke tushike shimu yake.
Aya, thank you for calling the one, Mike.
I think Ali should welcome her with his
Hello.
She sells seashells at the seashore in Seychelles.
and her name is Washeke.
Washeke, Washeke, talk to
Can you
us.
focus?
Yes. Sorry.
We are focused, Mayor.
Sorry, Basi.
Okay, for me, I had to call it because men will not get it.
Aye.
There
Okay.
are two. I'm not saying that in a bad way.
It's
but
okay. It's okay. It's okay.
There were two positives for me as a woman and someone who's raising a daughter. One of them was, positive body image. We saw athletes at their highest level in different shapes and forms excelling. Typically, we are peddled that to be fit and to be able to excel, it's only one Euro-eccentric shape. But what we saw is very different. We have people that are not exactly size 0, but they were at the top of their game and winning gold medals. So to me, that was so exciting. Number two is, typically, and this affects women more than men, is women are told that they age out from a sport at a young age. But you see, Simone Biles, is it 25 or 26?
Yeah, and that's very
But
old
that-
for gymnastics.
Yes, and if you look at in the past, the way the gymnastic competitors looked like, they looked like kids, and they were 16. The ones
no,
who were
they didn't look
winning
like kids. They were kids,
the
actually.
1,000. I'm sorry?
They were kids.
What?
Kina Gabby Johnson.
Okay,
They
yeah.
were kids.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, at 16. But even their shape, like gymnastic, it has evolved. It's okay to be muscular. It's okay to be healthy. It's okay to step away and take care of your mental well-being. To me, that's, something, just being that you can compete at any age and you don't have to step away just because you attain 20. To me, that's key, because this is a challenge that women face. Pressure that if you are a certain age, then as a woman, it's only downhill from there. If you get to 40, you have nothing to give to the wall, or you can't excel. So to me, those are two things that I've seen consistently, and I'm so excited with the advances. Also, this Olympic is the first Olympic where we had equal men and women competing. Before, we had more men, but this one we had equal number of men and women competing in all sports. So that's all I wanted to say, because I knew it wasn't as it's important, but I'm not sure if you men got it. But that, to me, something like it's close to my heart, and that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, thank you, Washeke. And actually, to add on what you said, Washeke, I also saw on that women's side thing, and of course, these are things that sometimes maybe men may pass by and they may not see, is that on the beach volleyball, I saw Egyptian women, dressed in actually very comfortable clothing, but fully covered up. Now, here, like I always say, I will never speak for Muslim women because I'm not a Muslim woman, but I hear what a lot of Muslim women say who love sports, who love swimming, and this is not me saying. So I think, like demonstrating that it's okay to dress because in a sport the idea is clothed in a way that you feel comfortable both physically and also mentally, and it was interesting to see that they were kitted in a way in which they covered themselves, because in some of these sports, let's be honest, because a big part of the sporting audience is male, so women sometimes are pushed to dress in certain ways that some of them are not comfortable with.
Right.
But I think it's good to have, like the kind of dressing that like the women who are not comfortable in wearing the very tiny stuff can have an option to wear something else. So I also thought that was something very, very positive, especially in beach volleyball, where there's an encouragement for women to wear a certain type of way.
But wako beach wavae to. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
I have a question on dress.
Yes.
Why, if you look at the men in track and field, they wear biker shorts, but why are women made to wear hot pants? I've never gotten it. Why? Why can't
the
women
bikini
also
bottom?
be allowed to?
Comfort.
Huh?
Is a short comfort.
So the men, I'm not getting what when you say comfort, Mika. Is it that the men are comfortable with the biker shorts, but the women are not? No, but what about the women?
The women.
What
How
about
come the women don't wear
How come the
bikers?
women don't wear
But
this?
then unajua nini, unavaa pia nguo ya least resistance, right? Because you want to like symmetry. You want the symmetry of your body to be as natural, like as nearly as naked as you feel your body is.
But
The longer your clothes are, the more resistance uko nayo. So the shorter they are, the less resistance uko nayo.
let's
So
hear
it
from a
gives them an
woman.
advantage.
Let's hear from a woman.
gives them an-
Washeke.
Me nakwambia, like from a sports perspective, see from a woman's perspective, I'm telling you from a sports perspective on how you're dressing because at that point is you're trying to get yourself an advantage of running.
Mick,
right?
I'll tell you why I disagree with you, but let's hear from Washeke.
From a sports perspective,
Yes,
from a woman's perspective, you're missing.
Mick, I'll also tell you from a sports perspective why I disagree with you, but let's hear
Okay,
from
fine.
Washeke. Let's hear from Washeke.
I mean, like, I feel that, I understand the physics and what Mika is talking, but I feel it's more like sexualizing women, because look at how, like, women in volleyball, how they're made to dress. So, I mean, I kind of see your point, Mika, but then again, I feel like this was purposely done because, like, a lot of things, women bodies are sexualized. So why can't we invent clothes that allow to feel comfortable?
See, I will not argue on that. Me, I was answering your questions when your question on athletics, when you're asking why men run on biker shorts and why women run on certain things. But what I'm saying, if a man could get away with running with shorter shorts, they will get away with it.
But this,
like if they could get away with
swimming
running with
shorts.
shorter shorts, they will get away with it.
Okay,
It's just that pia
think I
unataka
get your
short iko na
point, Mika.
comfort inakupatia. Alafu unajua kuna kitu inaitwa raf ile ikiingia katikati ya bengo na nini like when you're running ikiingia katikati ya bengo na groin hapa
ni madhogodhanio.
so pia that's why pia unaona navanga hizo mabaika cause naweza kuambia kama msee nilikuwa nacheza ball ulikuwa unacheza bila ngodha na unadunga baika.
Okay.
Kwa zile ngodha ilikuwa ikiingia hivi ama ingie lunch na unakimbia itakukata na bado inakusumbua kukimbia.
Yeah.
Okay, but I agree with Washeke. Like let's be very honest. Some of the designs of and I think it's all about I'm not judging or anything, but some of these designs are deliberately like designed in that way to get a bigger male audience.
Audience, yeah.
Yes, and I know especially in sports like in certain sports, like with a sport like running, 100 meters, 200 meters, the what do you call it? The margins are very small. But when you go to other sports, like volleyball and like there's a deliberate attempt because these clothes over time they have changed. But anyway, like I said, like I'm not one of those who will
No,
speak on behalf
sex
of
sells.
women.
Hujadanganya is true.
Yeah.
Sex sells, right?
Yeah.
The biggest consumers of sports is men. So apart from you, let's be honest, women are not going to perform the way men are going to perform. So apart from the sporting side of it, you have to keep them enticed to hapo kwa hiyo TV waangalie. Women's bodies are beautiful. Showcase the bodies as they're playing the sport. You've got men hooked up twice.
So you
It's simple as that.
so you agree? So
Cheerleaders.
you agree? Women.
No,
bodies
yeah, I
are
agree with
sexualized.
that. Hiyo sijakatata kabisa. Mimi nilikuwa najibu swali ya 100 meters ya mbona wengine over bike na wengine over short fupi. I was answering from a sports perspective. But when it comes to sexualizing, yes, I agree on that. Sex sells. Everything in this world is sold sexually. At a gari. Well, let me tell you, why do you have an advertisement for a Ferrari with a woman, like an advert for a sports car with a woman on it? The woman doesn't talk about the engine performance, torque, and in it. That's what people look for. They buy a car. But then if I'm driving the car and I have a hot woman in that car, most people who actually don't have that reason on a get and pull you them. So yes, sex sells in everything, all aspects. Other sports, sex sells.
Okay, Washeke, give us your last word.
Well, I'm just passing a message. It's not mine. I'm just passing a message from Slay. Slay said she enjoyed all the eye candy from first generation African immigrants that have been meddling. All the podiums, beginning with that, he's a Longhorn alumni. I think he won silver in the decathlon. I think his name is Leo the Great or Leo the German or something. And kwa hayo machache, thank you so much, Louis, for sharing all your knowledge. And I think in your capacity with all you know, you will do great if you are given opportunity to grow and market our sport. So, I mean, maybe something to consider. I know there's a lot of politics, but I think that you will do really great, and hopefully someone recognizes that and gives you the opportunity. And good night, everyone.
Thank you, Washeke.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Washeke.
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up, Mika. Och! Sex sells, baby.
Kila week you find a way to just make me start laughing before I say bye-bye. Anyway, all in all, summer is over. Hivyo tu.
Huh?
I'm lost. Summer si imeisha.
Which country are you in, Bana? You take the wins while the sun is still out. You make hay.
Hakuna cha still out. Omosh, unaenda kuswim in 1 week's time. After 1 week's time tunaingia Labor Day. After Labor Day summer imeisha.
That's you. Me, I will continue swimming.
Wewe jaribu kuiforce. Utaiforce unashuka na wando unashukanga na homo unashinda kuongea unapotea siku.
It's called a heat
Anyway.
poo.
All in all, as I was saying, summer is over, back to school is getting back here, and we're finalizing. Remember, in 2 weeks' time, we have a guest. As we said, please come prepared with questions. Tunasemanga nyinyi ni wapenzi wachangiaji. This is the time I am seeking you and begging you. I want you to changia kabisa. Right? We don't want this to be one of those interviews where people say that we control the narrative. Mmependa kutuwekelea hivyo, mnatuambia tunaleta watu mnaogopa kupiga simu. Pigeni simu raundi hii. Tumwambia mapema nani anakaa. Mnatuambia hapa sio ogopa kuuliza maswali. Tunataka nyinyi muulize. Hata hatutaki kuongea hiyo siku. Tunataka tunyamaze nyinyi muongee. So pigeni masimu. Wale wote wanakuwa na shida na ODM na nini, pigeni simu. Tunawakubalisha tushika simu zenu. Hata kama tutakuwa tunawapatia regulation ya 2 minutes tu, bali tutawashika simu zenu. Pigeni simu muulize maswali hiyo siku. hiyo siku show ni yenu, si yetu. So call in. We do not want you to tell us that. We control the narrative. So mpige simu. Apart from that, in all the music streaming sites that you know, go stream Charisma Motions. It's a very nice album, very good music. You'll enjoy it. And remember, tomorrow and Sunday, we're cheering on our girls and our boys to give us more medals. And also, the EPL is back. So the next show that we come back, tutakuja kutafanya Premier League predictions. But all in all, I just want to tell you, enjoy your last days of summer. Be safe. Louis, thank you very much for coming. Mnajua Louis ni kazini yangu. Story of another day.
Wewe.
Louis ni wetu.
He has never claimed you. The guy has never claimed you.
We grew up together too, as well, from the same home.
Oh, our Waganda Waluya.
Ni mashemeji.
Aya.
Si mashemeji, Louis is my cousin. Mashemeji ni watu tumeoa. Louis is my cousin. My blood. Anyway, all in all, have a wonderful weekend and be blessed.
Asante Mikasi, as usual. Is it say to hey Mika saa zingine wagana kuja gana passion, but lakini this was a sports show, so you know that's what it is. Big shout out to Chris Amoye, who's over here on YouTube. Asante for your comments. Tumeziona, and we welcome all those peeps as usual on YouTube. Asanteni. Chief Louis, thank you. I think Washeke hit it right. What is it called? Hit the nail on the head about how you can impact the Kenyan sports fraternity industry. I think that's something to think about. Maybe we should even have an app. How about that? We develop an app ya kupiga kelele so that those nyangaos get their act together. I don't know if that's gonna work, you know. Because some of those jobs, they can't pay us enough, but we see where the problem is, and because we can see it from the outside, maybe we should try to fix it from the outside, not from the inside, because the ones who are there on the inside, that thing is a war. But with that said, asanteni watu wetu, that guest coming in 2 weeks time, wow, is all I can say. Wow, and more wow. And have a good week. I think for those who are still tracking and thinking about the Olympics marathon, it's tonight, 2 a.m. Eastern time. For the guys. For the men's. So if you want to see Kipchoge get that gold, it's 2 a.m. tonight. 2 a.m. Eastern time. So if you, whichever time zone you're in the US.
About 4 a.m.
Yes. So utakuwa tu hapo ukicheza tu kama wewe. Yes, you can nod, you nod left, nod right, or just weka your alarm so you wake up at least 3 o'clock, because an hour into the race, either way you'll be good. Yes, so weka your alarm, or
like 350 when they're about to win.
No,
that's the most important part of the
because you know you can wake up 350 and then you know you piga snooze mara 6. It's a wrap.
No, wekage snooze boy. Hata mimi kuna marathon moja sitaambia watu, lakini kwa hoteli nilipiga, nililala nikakaa 15 minutes za mwisho.
and then you pretend you watch the whole marathon.
These guys, I'm trying to help our listeners. Na nyinyi mnakuja na vitu zenyu. Nyinyi ndio watu mulilalaga Vega. Anyway, let me know. Sorry. Nanguo kama iko next. You let me close my eyes.
Vegas tulikuwa tunalala.
What? Memories. Talking of memories, I found some LA Las Vegas 7's paraphernalia when I was cleaning up kwa hao. But that's for another day. Nitakuja nayo kwa studio ndio tuone. Yes. There were some giveaways we used to get there. But anyway, thank you, peoples. Have a good week. Have a good rest of your week. Remember, Olympics is over on Sunday. Closing ceremony. So, ujipanga accordingly. check the schedules so that you can know. It's basically at this point it's track and field, and then of course if you're tracking with the Americans, kuna ka basketball hapo, men's finals, and then and both of them are, believe it or not, US versus France on the men's side and on the women's side. Go figure for basketball. So hapo ujue kuna vile wasee wamekaa hapo.
Sudan wanaenda wapi?
We mikasi bana, see ukuje tu pole pole man, we can talk about this one when we've closed.
No, niliwaambia watachapwa makapingani.
No bana, see, you know, sometimes with
But
the way
there were
you
no
see
big
things,
margins.
They're not big margins.
There were no big margins.
yeah, but what Mika was saying, no, you see now it's a first time for them. They go back, they retool. And then they
Shida
come
si
back.
big margins.
Yeah.
Shida ni walichapwa.
Hey,
Unajua
Mikas.
kwa tournament mnakuanga smart, amjichokeshi. Mnashinda tu game.
Mikasi, kwa heri bana, wacha niseme kwa heri bana. Wewe unaweka wazee kwa studio na unajua ni time ya kwenda home bwana.
Okay,
kwa
aya.
heri basi, back to you studio.
Aya, sawa sawa. Na today tumeenda overtime vibaya sana, so I'm gonna make it quick. Asante sana Chief Lui, and asante sana to all the people who tuned in. This was one of those topics that we didn't know what direction it was gonna go, but I
No,
knew
it
with
didn't.
Lui, we knew we were gonna get gems, we were gonna get information that we don't have, and that's a value that we like giving to the listeners out there. Don't forget Friday, August 23rd, Senator Sifuna, Nairobi Senator, will be live in Kilimanjaro Studios. He's gonna be in the US attending the Democratic Convention that's beginning on August 19th. That Friday, he's gonna be in DC, and he will be right here in Kilimanjaro Studios. So yeah, so prepare your questions. You know, like we want everything to be coming from you. Apa Washeke was accusing me of controlling the narrative, and I'm not a narrative controller. Me, I'm just a narrative receiver. The way the conversation goes is where I go. But yeah, when Sifuna comes, please, let's make an impression. Let's make a big impression for him to understand that this is how people feel in the diaspora, because this is someone who's very close to power, and they take very seriously what people in the diaspora say. And I'll tell you, this will be, and not bragging or anything, but this will be one of the forums where he will get a very diverse set of diasporans to be able to speak to, you know, because there will be a lot of people that day mjitayarishe, because typically such episodes, you get a lot of people getting tagged, a lot of people who typically don't listen coming in, so get prepared for them. There will be a lot of questions, and I always tell people, mapema ndio best. All those who are waiting for ostaki kuwa fast, you will run out of time. You know, like when others wameingia wameanza kupiga simu, time ishe, so mapema ndio best. Once we open up the phone lines, feel free to call, have your questions ready, 1 minute. Let's make an impression on him. Let's know what we want, what message we want him to get to send back home, so that the powers to be back home can understand the feelings of the people out here in the diaspora. Na kwa hayo machache, yote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile ile 1-800 mteule. Na operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na kikuuliza mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Aiden, Daddy loves you. Jerry, Daddy loves you. Nemo, Daddy loves you. Until next week, be blessed. Asante sana Chief Lui. Barikiwa.
Karibuni.
Haya.
Solo keja niko na form ya mtumbwese text tukika na fini plate kukumbese kuset nimeshika skank na malwe the kiets kauna